Chapter 1008. Chapter 1006. Underground Arena. If one were to calculate it, just the ticket sales alone would bring in millions of yuan of profit. This was a profitable business. The ticket sales weren't the most profitable, however. The most profitable business was betting on fights. No matter who won or lost, the house would always be the winner. Jianghu, who was hiding in the shadows, couldn't help but smile as he looked at the excited crowd. He asked his follower, "Little Scorpion, not including today, how much money have we earned since we opened?" "Master, when we've earned 7 million already. Of course, that's including the 4 million we lost yesterday and the day before, otherwise we'd earn even more." The shifty-eyed man called Little Scorpion said respectfully with a notebook in his hand. "Yes, Professor Ian, are you sure this black bear can beat Purple Wolf today?" "I don't think he can do it, he's almost beaten to a pulp already, isn't he?" Jianghu nodded, but he looked worriedly at the 40-year-old man beside him. This middle-aged man was Professor Ian, sent by the Fire Wolf gang to help Jianghu. He was a biochemist, specializing in the transformation of the human body and its potential. He invented a drug that could temporarily make people forget pain, instantly activating all the potential in the human body, making them unable to feel pain, only knowing how to attack until the last bit of energy left in their body. And this black bear was the first user of this drug. The previous fights were all real fights with hired boxers. There were wins and losses, deaths and injuries, and so Jianghu won quite a lot of money as the banker. But since the day before yesterday when this Purple Wolf appeared, Jianghu had been plotting this money-making scheme. Purple Wolf was very strong. He was a boxing master that Jianghu had hired from an underground arena in the south. He defeated his opponents 2 days in a row and won. So when Purple Wolf came out today, most people bet on Purple Wolf's victory. Some rich people didn't lack money, and they only came to gamble to pass the time. But they still hoped to win. Who wouldn't want to win when betting? But today this black bear, although called Black Bear, was very skinny and weak. It didn't match the image of a black bear at all. His body was already weak and he still wanted to fight the winner, Purple Wolf? What wishful thinking. So, after seeing Black Bear's physique, everyone bet on Purple Wolf's victory. Some of the spectators saw Purple Wolf's ferocious strength and knew that his opponent was weak, so they were eager to give it a try. The individual investors had placed a lot of bets today. Although the amount of bets placed by each individual wasn't very large, with some being 10,000 and some being 100,000, the total amount added up was quite a lot. And so Jianghu was very happy. If Black Bear really won, he'd be able to earn 20 million tonight. "Don't worry, young Master Wen. Didn't you see the Black Bear getting up again and again? If he keeps getting up, sooner or later Purple Wolf will be tortured to death." Professor Ian said softly, "Look, Black Bear is getting up again." The professor's attitude towards Jianghu wasn't very good at first, but after working with him for a few days, he realized that Jianghu wasn't only ruthless, but decisive as well. He was also good at making money. Not only did he provide enough human subjects for the professor to experiment on, but he also brought a lot of profit to the Firewolves. Even the leader of the Firewolves praised Jianghu's ability, saying that Jianghu was good at making money. This made the professor unable to underestimate Jianghu anymore. And so, the professor's attitude towards Jianghu became a lot more respectful. Sure enough, after the black bear was knocked down, it crawled back up from the ground. Step by step it walked towards Purple Wolf. Although Purple Wolf could send Black Bear flying with one punch, it wasn't like he didn't get hit by Black Bear's attack. Although Black Bear's attack wasn't enough to send him flying, it was still quite powerful. Purple Wolf even wondered how Black Bear could throw such a heavy punch with such a skinny body. Although he didn't say anything, he was already suffering from serious internal injuries. Seeing Black Bear get up again with red eyes, Purple Wolf started to get annoyed. Why was Black Bear like a cockroach that couldn't be killed? Again and again he sent him flying with heavy punches, but he got up from the ground again and again. Purple Wolf was sure that he had broken all of Black Bear's ribs. How could he still stand up in this situation? Wasn't he in pain? Seeing Black Bear rush towards him, Purple Wolf could only continue to fight. There were no rules in this underground arena, and there was no such thing as surrendering. There was only one result, and that was a fight to the death. One side had to beat the other until they couldn't move, and that was victory. Bang! Black Bear didn't fear death and he punched Purple Wolf in the head. Purple Wolf saw stars and his head was ringing. He had a concussion. Yes, he had a concussion a few times already. Black Bear didn't care about his heavy punches, and instead used this method to fight head-on with him. When Black Bear hit Purple Wolf's head, he was also sent flying by Purple Wolf. Once again he fell to the ground. Purple Wolf felt like his head was going to explode and the pressure inside increased. He knew that if he didn't go to the hospital soon, he would be finished. He was in a hurry, and he wanted to quickly finish the fight and go to the hospital for treatment. However, Black Bear miraculously got up from the ground again and he charged again. Roar dash! Black Bear didn't fear death and once again he punched Purple Wolf's head. Bang! A loud sound rang out and Purple Wolf's ears, nose, and mouth spewed out a large amount of purple blood. Then he fell to the ground. The moment Purple Wolf fell to the ground, Purple Wolf also attacked. Black Bear's body was sent flying again and he fell to the ground. The audience was in an uproar. The undefeated and ever-victorious Purple Wolf had fallen, and he was bleeding from every orifice. Purple Wolf, stand up. Purple Wolf, stand up. Kill Black Bear. Stand up. Stand up. Motherfucker, I bet 500,000 yuan. You motherfucker, stand up. Don't play dead. However, what happened next made everyone disappointed. The one who stood up wasn't Purple Wolf, but Black Bear. Black Bear stood up and both his hands were raised high. His eyes were still red and even though he looked like a bloody gourd, he won. He was the last person to stand up. Chapter 1009. Chapter 1007 inches fact, he couldn't stand up anymore. He was already dead. Dejected shouts and curses filled the air. They were the ones who had placed their bets on Purple Wolf. Now that Purple Wolf was dead, their money was gone. They didn't even have a single cent left. Caca. Jianghu looked at the victorious Black Bear and laughed. Not bad, we really won. This Black Bear is not bad, he has potential. We can use him as a trump card next time. Master Wen, this Black Bear can only be used once. The professor shook his head with a smile. What? Jianghu blinked. He's only been able to hold on until now because of the medicine. Once the medicine wears off, he can only wait for death because many of his internal organs have been destroyed. There's no way he can survive. Professor Yin said. I see. What a pity. Jianghu's face showed a trace of pity. Man, what a tragedy. Master Wen, you're a man of greatness. It's just one or two people dying, what's there to pity? Don't be sad. Scorpion said carefully. He was sent by the firewolves to help Jianghu, but he was also the one who would take the blame. The firewolves were very kind, however, and had already arranged for Scorpion's family so that he wouldn't have to worry about them. Who said I'm pitiful? Jianghu rolled his eyes and waved his hand. I'm just worried about his organs, they're all destroyed. That's another million. Scorpion's face twitched. This Master One was really cruel, so it was because Black Bear's organs couldn't be sold for money? Hurry, get someone to take Purple Wolf and Black Bear down and see if there's any organs left. We'll cut them off and sell them, it'll be a great source of income. Jianghu waved his hand at Scorpion. Yes. Scorpion nodded and went to do it. Jianghu was a bold and ruthless man. He might be running an underground arena, but he'd found another way to make money, and that was by cutting off the organs of the dead fighters and selling them. In the past, Jianghu only sold the kidneys, but now he was cutting them all out. Corneas, kidneys, hearts. As long as they could be sold, he would cut them all off and sell them. The rest of the bodies would be thrown into his crocodile pond to be digested. As a result, Jianghu's profits from tonight's match wasn't limited to just the sparring itself. This was also why Firewolf Edition valued Jianghu so much. Jianghu had gotten into trouble before, but the Firewolves weren't afraid. They had plenty of people and it wouldn't be easy to find a scapegoat. As long as you have the ability and can make money, that's enough for you. The fighters in Jianghu's arena, on the other hand, were hired from the internet to train underground fighters. There were also some who were lured in by benefits such as security guards and farmers. They were told that they could earn 100,000 yuan from a match, and no matter if they won or lost, they'd still be guaranteed 100,000 yuan. But if they won, they'd get an extra 100,000 yuan. As a result, there was an endless stream of people coming to fight. The advantage of this type of people was that their whereabouts were originally uncertain. Many of the security guards were temporary workers. They worked today and quit tomorrow, so their mobility was relatively high. It was the same for migrant workers. If one or two of them were missing, it would not attract the attention of others. It was the same for the gangsters too. Many of them were ready to run away after committing a small crime, and some of them disappeared all of a sudden. Their companions didn't even know if they committed a crime or ran away. Of course, it didn't matter even if they knew. If they really found Jianghu, he could just say that they earned money from fighting and took it away to enjoy life in another city. As a result, the underground arena never lacked fighters or spectators. If it wasn't targeted by the police, this would be a profitable business. It was also a business that didn't cost anything. Of course, Jiang Wen was an expert in businesses that didn't cost anything. Master Wen, other than one of Purple Wolf's retina, the rest of his organs are fine. Black Bear on the other hand, only 2 of his retina and his left kidney are fine. The rest are all ruined. Scorpion reported after a while. Black Bear's dead? Jiang Wen nodded. Not completely dead, but he's on the operating table now. Scorpion said. Not bad, there's still some use to him. These are worth a few $100,000. Jiang Wen nodded, satisfied. Tomorrow you and Fighter Lee will continue to go out and find more people to fight here. I'll go play with the girls first. Yes, Master Wen. Scorpion nodded and sent Jiang Wen off. Jiang Wen had earned quite a bit these past few days. Lin Yi's sudden recovery pissed him off. He wasn't able to take advantage of the situation and marry Meng Yao, but he didn't dare go against Lin Yi without Fighter Lee's explicit support. Fortunately, he had earned a lot of money these past few days. He booked a couple of virgins at the Starlight Hotel, going there with Tai Zhao every day to make up for the unhappiness in his heart. However, as far as Jiang Wen was concerned, these virgins were quite pure, but they were far from Meng Yao. His dream was still to push Meng Yao down. Meng Yao, you won't be able to escape from my palms. Once I have a certain position in the Firewolves, I'll have a large group of masters to order around. Lin Yi would be nothing then. Jiang Wen was only a lowly representative of the Firewolves, but he had heard some news about the Firewolves from his father. The Firewolves were a super big gang with many masters, even stronger than the hidden houses. Jiang Wen even heard that the Firewolves had a super powerful force behind them. He didn't know what it was exactly, but if it was stronger than the hidden houses, then it had to be a powerful existence. Fighter Lee was the master that the Firewolves gave to Jiang Wen. He had the strength of a mystic mid-phase, a very powerful master. It was rare in the common world. Only some of the noble houses could see him. However, Fighter Lee didn't show up yet. After all, Fighter Lee was here to hold the fort. Only when there was an opponent that couldn't be dealt with would Fighter Lee be sent up. Under normal circumstances, Fighter Lee was like Jiang Wen, eating, drinking and having fun. Chapter 10:10. As a reward, but there was one thing that puzzled Jiang Wen. He noticed a weird phenomenon, and that was that whenever it was quiet at night or when he was extremely excited, he would yell at the sky for no reason. Jiang Wen didn't know what was going on, but he didn't think much of it. Yushu and Xiao Xiao were singing, but it was obvious that they were shouting at each other. Whatever song Yushu sang, Xiao Xiao would sing as well, and then another song after that, and Yushu would turn around and sing Xiao Xiao's song as well. It was like a relay race and Meng Yao couldn't interfere at all. Finally, the two were so tired that they didn't have the energy to continue singing, and the group prepared to leave the KTV. I'll let you go today, but we'll fight for 300 rounds another day. Xiao Xiao glared at Yushu. You're welcome to challenge me, okay? You're too weak in front of me, singing Shu. Yushu said. Meng Yao and Tang Yun looked at each other, a bitter smile on their faces as they separated Yushu and Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi paid the bill at the bar on the first floor. Lin Yi could have called Zhou Qindi, and Zhou Qindi would have been more than happy to give Lin Yi a free bill, but it wasn't a lot of money and Lin Yi didn't want to waste time. He paid the bill and left the KTV with Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Falbert's car didn't leave. It was still parked in front of the KTV. Evidently, Falbert had lost his strength, but he was still a responsible driver. Yao Yao, Shu, you guys take Falbert's car home first, I'll drive Yun Yun and Xiao Xiao back. Lin Yi said to the Mississippi, okay. The miss nodded. She wanted Lin Yi to go home earlier because she wanted to ask Xiao Xiao what was going on, but she couldn't say it out loud. She could only purse her lips and let it go. Yushu, on the other hand, was still glaring at Xiao Xiao angrily. She hadn't decided a winner yet. Lin Yi, Tang Yun and Feng Xiao Xiao got on the Beetle. Lin Yi started the car and asked, Xiao Xiao, are you going back to school to get your car, or do you want me to send you back? Can you send me back and come pick me up tomorrow? Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi pleadingly. I have to pick up Tang Yun tomorrow morning. Take a taxi, Lin Yi said faintly. Oh, can't you pick me up on the way? I am your concubine. You can't favor one and discriminate against the other. Xiao Xiao was already treating herself as Lin Yi's mistress, and now that Tang Yun had admitted it, her courage grew. If it were any other time, Tang Yun wouldn't be happy if Xiao Xiao acted like this to Lin Yi in front of Tang Yun. Even if she didn't say anything, she wouldn't feel good about it. But after knowing about Xiao Xiao's illness, her attitude changed completely. She even hoped that Xiao Xiao could live a happy life in the last few days. So no matter what Xiao Xiao did, Tang Yun had a forgiving heart. She kept telling herself that she had to accept Xiao Xiao sincerely and treat her as Lin Yi's woman, as her own sister. Where's your house? Lin Yi asked. It's near school, not far. It's really close, in front of Time Road, Xiao Xiao said. Oh, tomorrow it is then. No more next time, Linny nodded. Time Road wasn't far and it was on the way. Linny, you're the best. I've decided to give you a kiss as a reward. Xiao Xiao said happily after seeing Linny agree. Is this a reward, or are you trying to take advantage of Linny? Tang Yun looked at Xiao Xiao with a smile that wasn't a smile. Tang Yun, sis, you're making fun of me? Xiao Xiao blushed, but after some hesitation she said in a very low voice, Tang Yun, sis, can you really accept me and not act out of spite? We're in a dangerous situation right now. That Yushu is very cunning, and we should work together to defeat her. Otherwise she'd want to be Lin Yi's mistress as well. If we were to fight amongst ourselves, our enemies might take advantage of it. Tang Yun had already accepted Xiao Xiao in her heart, but in order to not let Xiao Xiao see through her act, she pretended to be hesitant. I'll try. Heh, Tang Yun, sis, don't worry, I'll definitely protect your interests. Xiao Xiao patted her chest. I'm a person who knows what's good for me. I'll remember who's good to me and I'll fight Yushu to the end. Yushu just likes to mess around, there's really nothing going on between them and Lin Yi. Tang Yun was quite close with Meng Yao and Yushu, and she didn't want Xiao Xiao to be enemies with them. That depends on their attitude. Xiao Xiao waved her fist. Lin Yi was driving, pretending not to hear anything. In truth, Yushu and Xiao Xiao's hostility was giving Lin Yi a headache. It seemed like he had to explain things to the Miss and Shu tonight, otherwise with Shu messing things up there might be trouble. He sent Tang Yun to the hospital first. It was late but there were still people going in and out. The First People's Hospital was 24 hours, and there were many patients at night. There were ambulances going in and out, so Lin Yi wasn't worried about Tang Yun's safety. Seeing Tang Yun walk into the hospital and disappear from his sight, Lin Yi started the car and prepared to send Xiao Xiao back. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was in the front passenger seat. Tang Yun had already gotten off, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Lin Yi wanted to say something to Xiao Xiao, but he didn't know what to say. In truth, it wasn't that Lin Yi didn't have feelings for Xiao Xiao, but he couldn't get used to the change in attitude. Before, Lin Yi was on guard when he interacted with Xiao Xiao, but now that his attitude had changed, he couldn't get used to it. Making him treat Xiao Xiao the same way he treated Tang Yun all of a sudden, Lin Yi felt a little awkward, afraid that he'd be exposed. Usually when Lin Yi interacted with Xiao Xiao he was usually very quiet. Lin Yi, did my dad contact you? Xiao Xiao spoke first, not knowing what topic to start with. Xiao Xiao felt like she was in a dream for the entire afternoon. She'd worked so hard for so long and now it had come true. She really became Lin Yi's girlfriend? She was a small wife but it was still the same, so Xiao Xiao didn't care. Chapter 1011. Chapter 1009, a little tempted. Yeah, he asked me to meet him. What did you say to your dad? Lin Yi pretended like he hadn't met Tianlong before. No, nothing. Xiao Xiao was very bold before, but after confirming her relationship with Lin Yi, she became a little more careful. Maybe he wanted to thank you for saving me in Yanjing? Oh. Lin Yi nodded and asked casually. Right, why did you faint all of a sudden? Do you have some illness? It's nothing. Xiao Xiao shook her head. She didn't want Lin Yi to know that she had a terminal illness. If that happened, her revenge would become Lin Yi's pity. What was the point of her revenge then? Lin Yi, I won't let you go after what you did to me. I'm using you as a love experiment, making you fall in love with me and feel sad for me. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else. He continued driving. Lin Yi, there aren't many cars out here. Why don't you race? Let me enjoy it? Xiao Xiao turned to Lin Yi. Why would I race if I have nothing to do? Don't you know how dangerous it is? Lin Yi frowned. 9 out of 10 car accidents are fast. Do you want to die? Do I want to die? Xiao Xiao shook her head and sighed faintly. Lin Yi blinked but his heart sank. Xiao Xiao's words had a hidden meaning. She didn't have much time left, but Lin Yi didn't know how to respond to that. He could only sigh unnoticeably. He felt even more pity for Xiao Xiao now. She was an optimistic girl, and from the moment he met her, Lin Yi had never seen a trace of negative emotions from her. If he hadn't experienced Xiao Xiao's body firsthand and heard his comrade Tianlong tell him about Xiao Xiao's condition, he wouldn't have believed that this pretty girl wouldn't be able to live for very long. He realized that he really liked the girl in front of him if he put aside the guilt and worry he had for Tang Yun. Lin Yi didn't want her to die, but there was nothing he could do. Even the old man couldn't do anything about it. There was nothing Lin Yi could do. Lin Yi was called a miracle doctor, but that didn't mean that he was omnipotent. He could cure some known diseases and change people's fates, but for unknown diseases he didn't even know the cause. How was he supposed to cure them? Hey Linny, do you like me? Xiao Xiao gave up on the idea of letting Linny race. She knew that Linny was stubborn. He would do what he said and he wouldn't change his mind easily. Linny didn't answer. HM, you really don't like me? Not even a little bit? Just a little bit? Xiao Xiao didn't give up. Linny still didn't answer. Hey, when you touched me at the auction, didn't you feel anything? Xiao Xiao was starting to panic. Yes, Linny answered. Xiao Xiao's words were getting more and more out of hand. Then, are you interested in me? Xiao Xiao was happy to hear the confirmation, and she continued to press her advantage. A little bit. Linny nodded. Then why did you reject me? Xiao Xiao was a little confused after hearing Lin Yi's words. No, I just started to like you a little bit today, Linny said. I had some feelings when I was in Yanjing, but I wasn't sure. Lin Yi did have some feelings for Xiao Xiao before, but because he was on guard against her, Lin Yi kept that feeling in his heart, only releasing it today. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Xiao Xiao waved her hands around excitedly. Looks like hard work pays off. So you agree to let me be your small wife? Tang Yun agreed? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, of course Tang Yun sis agreed. Why else would she let me be alone with you? Xiao Xiao nodded excitedly. You didn't force her, did you? Or did you set a trap for her to accept you? Lin Yi asked. But, of course not. Xiao Xiao naturally wouldn't admit it. Tang Yun sis only accepted me because I'm a good person. Lin Yi almost crashed the car into a tree. Good person? But Lin Yi knew what was going on, so he didn't expose her. What are you laughing at? Xiao Xiao saw Lin Yi's weird smile and was a little pissed. Tang Yun sis really accepted me on her own. Lin Yi shrugged. I really don't know what you're thinking. You're a pretty girl. What kind of boyfriend can't you get? You just have to be someone's small wife. So what? Xiao Xiao didn't care. If I don't do it, there'll be plenty of people fighting for it. Like that Yushu, she's always acting cute. Lin Yi, don't get seduced by her. Lin Yi shook his head. Now that Xiao Xiao and Yushu were at loggerheads, it would be quite a headache for him in the future. We're at Time Street. Where's your house? Lin Yi's car arrived at Time Street as they spoke. Turn left at the intersection up ahead, and you'll be there in about 500 meters, Xiao Xiao said as she looked at the road. 500 meters wasn't too far, and it only took a blink of an eye for Lin Yi's car to arrive at the entrance of a small district. The district was huge, but it wasn't a luxurious one, and one could see that Xiao Xiao's family wasn't too rich. Lin Yi thought about it and agreed. Xiao Xiao lost her mother when she was young, and she was raised by Tianlong alone. Tianlong's annual salary was high, but it was only around $1 million a year, and he couldn't afford a luxurious villa like that. It's here. Xiao Xiao directed Lin Yi to drive the car into the district and stopped in front of a building. I live here, Unit 3, top floor. Be careful upstairs, text me when you get home, Lin Yi nodded. In actuality, Lin Yi was just saying it casually. The security here was quite good, and there'd be security cars passing by every once in a while. Normally there wouldn't be any bad guys. Plus, there was an electronic door at the entrance, and the elevators inside had surveillance cameras as well. Don't you want to go up and sit for a while? Xiao Xiao suddenly didn't want to leave. She was too happy today and she was afraid that it was all a dream, that she'd realize it wasn't real when she got upstairs. Chapter 10:12. Chapter 10:10. The feeling of love. But as Xiao Xiao got more and more into the relationship and her father's strong support, Xiao Xiao started to feel lost. She didn't know if she was doing the right thing. If Lin Yi really did fall in love with her, wouldn't it be painful? No, it's late. Go back and rest, Lin Yi said. Isn't your dad back? It's not good for me to go. He didn't go home, he's staying at a hotel. I think he has some other mission and he's going out at night. He doesn't want to disturb my rest. Xiao Xiao shook her head. Her dad was really busy and Xiao Xiao was used to living alone. I see. I won't go then. See you tomorrow, Lin Yi smiled. Oh, okay. Xiao Xiao was a little disappointed. Can you kiss me then? Xiao Xiao suddenly raised her head and looked at Lin Yi, her bright eyes shining like stars in the night sky. It made Lin Yi's heart skip a beat. He had the urge to kiss her, but Lin Yi controlled himself well. Wasn't his development with Xiao Xiao a little too fast? Let's go upstairs and sleep. Lin Yi didn't reply to Xiao Xiao. Oh. Xiao Xiao was a little disappointed. She really wanted to know what it felt like to kiss someone. She'd never had this kind of experience before. She used to feel disgusted whenever she thought about getting close to a guy, but with Lin Yi she was looking forward to it. I'm going, Lin Yi said to Xiao Xiao. Go upstairs. Okay. Xiao Xiao hesitated. She didn't know where the urge came from, but she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Lin Yi on the cheek. She didn't wait for Lin Yi to say anything and jumped away giggling. She was afraid that Lin Yi would get mad, so she waved at Lin Yi. I'm going. Feels good. With that, Xiao Xiao sprinted towards the door of the building. Lin Yi smiled as he looked at Xiao Xiao running away. He touched his cheek. That moment felt pretty good and he had the urge to run over and hug Xiao Xiao. He knew that if he wanted to do something with Xiao Xiao, this girl wouldn't reject him for sure. She was different from Tang Yun, who was reserved, while Xiao Xiao was hot and passionate. He could tell that she didn't really reject him when he touched her boobs and Yanjing. But Lin Yi didn't do that, it was just an impulse. It wasn't love from the bottom of his heart. Indeed, Lin Yi liked Xiao Xiao a little, but Lin Yi didn't want the two to do anything too soon. Seeing Xiao Xiao go up the stairs, Lin Yi went back to his car and drove away. Xiao Xiao ran into the elevator in one breath. In the elevator, she was holding her chest and panting, her face as red as a cooked lobster. She was bold, but this was the first time she kissed a boy. Even if it was the face, it was enough to make her feel shy. But that electric feeling made Xiao Xiao fascinated. No wonder so many young men and women wanted to be in a relationship. This feeling was really good. Xiao Xiao touched her burning cheek. What did it feel like to be kissed? Kissing Lin Yi already made her feel so good. If she were to be kissed by Lin Yi, would she feel blissful? In a daze, the elevator reached the top floor. Xiao Xiao got off and went to her house. Xiao Xiao's house wasn't one of those luxurious villas, but it was a big duplex. Even if it was bought a few years ago in Songshan, it would still cost a few million. But Tianlong didn't use money much, and he knew that his daughter didn't have long to live. He didn't think about saving up, and would always try his best to provide his daughter with the best living environment possible. Xiao Xiao opened the door and rushed into the bathroom, washing her burning face with cold water. She needed to cool down. Pho. Xiao Xiao breathed out in relief after washing her face. Looking at her pretty face in the mirror, Xiao Xiao waved her fist and said to herself, Xiao Xiao, you're the best. You can do it, you can do it. Lin Yi's starting to like you. But after Xiao Xiao cheered herself on, she sunk into a strange feeling once more. Was this what it felt like to be in love? She seemed to really like Lin Yi? It didn't matter. She was going to die anyway, so she just wanted to experience the feeling of being in love. The more she immersed herself in it, the better it would feel. With that thought in mind, Xiao Xiao didn't plan on controlling her feelings. After leaving the bathroom, Xiao Xiao sent a text to Lin Yi, Honey, I'm home. Lin Yi was almost home when Xiao Xiao's text came. He was a little worried about why Xiao Xiao hadn't texted him for so long, but now he was relieved. Lin Yi replied to Xiao Xiao, I'm almost there too. Not long after Lin Yi's reply, his phone rang. Lin Yi thought it was Xiao Xiao, and because he was driving, he didn't look at the caller ID. He picked it up. Xiao Xiao, what's up? Xiao Xiao's such a nice name. I'm not Xiao Xiao, I mean Yun. Tang Yun's voice sounded angry, but she couldn't help but laugh when she said Yun Yun. It's so awkward to call myself Yun Yun. Haha, I just got Xiao Xiao's text when your call came. I thought it was her. Lin Yi knew that Tang Yun wouldn't be jealous. She was an extremely kind girl, and after knowing about Xiao Xiao's tragic life, all she felt was pity and sympathy. She wouldn't have agreed to Qianlong's request otherwise. I'm just asking, are you home yet? I'm just worried. It wasn't that Tang Yun was worried about Lin Yi driving alone at this hour, but she was worried about the people who'd caused trouble for Lin Yi before. They'd all been taught a lesson by Lin Yi, but who knew if they'd given up or not? Would they wait for a chance to take revenge? I'll be home soon. Lin Yi said, Right, I didn't get the chance to ask you because Xiao Xiao was here. What did you and Xiao Xiao talk about? What kind of agreement did you make? Why does it seem like she's picking up a big bargain as a concubine? Chapter 10:13. Or do you like to be stupid? Tang Yun didn't hide anything and told Lin Yi everything she and Xiao Xiao talked about, including the agreement they made. Lin Yi's eyes went wide as he listened to Tang Yun's explanation. He didn't expect Tang Yun to be this smart. Not only did she protect her position, but she also made Xiao Xiao feel like she got a great deal. Yun Yun, I didn't expect you to be this smart. Lin Yi sighed. Humph, Tang Yun was a little proud. If I wasn't smart, I would have been kicked out a long time ago. Xiao Xiao's lesson last time reminded me that I'm not as stupid as I used to be. Haha. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't say much. Tang Yun maturing a little was something to be happy about. After all, people had to grow up. Right, what are you going to tell Mengyao and Yushu tonight? Yushu seems to be a bit hostile towards Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun said helplessly. then I'll have to tell them the truth. Linny said, Yao Yao and Shu are both reasonable people. After knowing about Xiao Xiao's situation, they won't trouble her anymore. Yeah, that's true. But you still have to tell them that they shouldn't lose their hostility towards Xiao Xiao all of a sudden. This way Xiao Xiao will definitely be suspicious. It's best for them to slowly accept Xiao Xiao. Or like me and Xiao Xiao, it's better to wait for an opportunity. Tang Yun suggested. I understand, I'll tell them. Linny knew that Tang Yun was right, but with Yao Yao and Shu's intelligence, they should be able to handle things perfectly. You're driving, right? Then I won't bother you anymore. Drive safe, see you tomorrow. Tang Yun smiled. Yes, see you tomorrow, Linny nodded. Linny was almost at the villa area and he hung up. It was only a few minutes away, and he parked the car in the villa's yard. Linny entered the mansion and as expected, he saw Yao Yao and Shu watching TV in the living room. Shu was in the middle of all the excitement, dancing around and not noticing Lin Yi's return. Meng Yao couldn't help but give Yushu a kick. Shu. Yushu paused before realizing that Lin Yi was back. She remembered that she had something to ask Lin Yi. Shu bro, you're back? What was up with that Xiao Xiao today? Do you not like Shu anymore? Are you looking for someone similar to Shu to have a threesome with Tang Yun? Shu. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. What the hell is going on in your head? Don't always talk nonsense. If a girl speaks so crudely, how will she get married in the future? Oh, if Shield bro doesn't want me anymore, I'd rather die. Why would I get married? Yushu said sadly. Alright Shu, stop messing around. Lin Yi looked at Yushu. You knew something was wrong, didn't you? Oh. Yushu blinked. She did think that Xiao Xiao's sudden appearance was strange. Logically speaking, Lin Yi wouldn't accept a girl as a small wife for no reason, and Tang Yun wasn't the type to share Lin Yi with anyone. If Tang Yun was willing to give Lin Yi a small wife, she wouldn't have fought with them at Fatty Lai's house. Meng Yao paused as well. She also felt that something was wrong tonight, but she didn't tell Shu. She only told Shu to wait for Lin Yi to come back and ask Lin Yi what was going on. She didn't think that Shu would notice something was wrong as well. Man, this is so boring. Shield bro, why do you keep exposing me? Yushu said dejectedly. Ah, I still like you when you're dumb. Lin Yi smiled. The reason why Lin Yi said that Yushu had noticed something wrong with Xiao Xiao was because of Yushu's attitude towards Xiao Xiao. The two were bickering, but it didn't develop to the point of actually attacking her. With Yushu's personality, she wouldn't work with someone she hated to mess with someone she hated. Well, that's good. Yushu was happy again. Shield bro, that Xiao Xiao, what's going on? The reason why Yushu was happy was because she felt that Xiao Xiao was the not dumb version of herself, but Lin Yi said that she still liked the dumb version of her. That meant that he liked her more than Xiao Xiao. Of course she was happy. I'll tell you guys about Xiao Xiao, but you guys have to keep it a secret. Lin Yi nodded as he turned to Meng Yao and Yushu. Don't worry, my nickname is Secret Shu. I won't say anything I can't say. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao didn't say anything, but she nodded as well. Xiao Xiao doesn't have much time left. Lin Yi sighed as he sat on the sofa in front of Meng Yao and Yushu. Doesn't have much time left? Meng Yao paused, her face changing. Lin Yi, you're saying that Xiao Xiao, that's right? Xiao Xiao has a terminal illness and even I can't do anything about it? She'll reach the end of her life in a year at most. Lin Yi sighed. Meng Yao and Yushu's eyes went wide as they looked at Lin Yi, stunned. Lin Yi continued. Xiao Xiao's father and I are really good friends, so he asked me to say that Xiao Xiao hasn't tasted love yet. He wanted me to agree to work with Xiao Xiao and pretend to be her boyfriend until the day she leaves. With that, Lin Yi told Meng Yao and Yushu everything that happened in the afternoon. And Tang Yun was very kind, so she agreed first. Did Tang Yin agree to it? Meng Yao was a little surprised. She didn't think that Tang Yun would be this kind, giving Lin Yi away. Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. Yao Yao, Xiao Xiao, so pitiful. Yushu was starting to regret going against Xiao Xiao today. She was about to die. Why did she go and fight with her? Lin Yi could stay by her side for the rest of his life, but what about Xiao Xiao? She'd have a year at most. Yeah. I really didn't think that Xiao Xiao would have a terminal family illness. Meng Yao sighed. No wonder Tang Yun accepted her. Chapter 10:14. Can't wait, don't worry Lin Yi, Shu and I know what's important. Meng Yao nodded solemnly. Plus, Shu and I promise that we won't be hostile towards Xiao Xiao anymore. You can bring her to the villa as a guest. That's not necessary. Don't change your attitude towards her all of a sudden, there needs to be a process. Lin Yi shook his head. Xiao Xiao isn't stupid. If you guys suddenly change your attitude 180 degrees, do you think she wouldn't be suspicious? That's true. Meng Yao nodded. Then how should we cooperate? Meng Yao was a sensible person, and after hearing about Xiao Xiao's situation, she sympathized with her. If there was anything she could do for her, she would be more than happy to do it. But her personality made it so that even though she wanted to help, her tone was still very calm. Don't try to get close to her, just let nature take its course. Lin Yi didn't know what to do and he could only take it one step at a time. At least if Shu and Yao Yao were hostile towards Xiao Xiao, then there wouldn't be many conflicts in the future. I'll leave it to me. Yu Shu, on the other hand, patted her chest confidently. I'll keep arguing with her, and then we'll get to know each other better and we'll become good friends. Lin Yi's eyes twitched. He was really afraid that Yu Shu would use too much force and break her chest, but Lin Yi couldn't help but admire Yu Shu's idea. It was the most feasible one. Ah Shu, I'll be troubling you then. Lin Yi nodded. Oh, I love helping Shu bro, but after Xiao Xiao leaves you have to make it up to Shu. Yu Shu said. Lin Yi's forehead darkened. Shu seemed to be waiting for Xiao Xiao to die, but Lin Yi knew that Yu Shu didn't have any bad intentions. Standing up, Lin Yi said, I'll go see Faubert. You guys keep watching TV, but you can discuss the specifics with Yin. Yes. Meng Yao was interested in interacting with Tang Yun, so she nodded naturally after Lin Yi said it. Lin Yi got up and walked into Faubert's room. Faubert had been living in the villa for the past 2 days. It was also convenient for Lin Yi to heal him. When Faubert saw Lin Yi walk in, he quickly stood up. Towards Lin Yi, Faubert didn't dare to neglect. His respect for Lin Yi came from the heart. Lin Yi could be said to be his savior. If it weren't for Lin Yi, his meridians wouldn't have been repaired. It could be said that Lin Yi's kindness to Faubert could be said to be like a second parent. Faubert treated Chu Pingzhan with the respect of an old friend, but towards Meng Yao, it was more of a love from the heart. The pain of losing his wife and daughter made Faubert treat Meng Yao, who he watched grow up, like his own daughter. Little E, you're back. Although Faubert called Lin Yi Little E, it was also because of Lin Yi's strong request, but his words were filled with respect. Faubert, what do you think? Lin Yi nodded and walked into the room. As for Faubert's attitude, Lin Yi raised it twice, but Faubert was still like this. Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. After all, Lin Yi knew that his treatment of Faubert in the Wulin world was equivalent to giving him a new lease of life. Not bad, just one more meridian, I should be able to recover by tonight. Faubert said. Alright, then I'll do it today and fix your meridian. Lin Yi was also a little impatient. After all, the strength of an Earth class was not to be underestimated. If Faubert really recovered his strength, then Lin Yi would have a super helper. House Yu Xiao family's threats would no longer exist. Thank you. Faubert nodded and sat on the bed, waiting for Lin Yi to come over and transfer the pure energy into his body. General Wei Wu. Lin Yi called General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu obediently ran to Faubert's room and squatted there, ready to protect Lin Yi and Faubert. These days General Wei Wu was used to protecting Lin Yi and Faubert. Woof woof. General Wei Wu barked at Lin Yi as if telling Lin Yi that it was ready. Lin Yi nodded and sat beside Faubert. He activated the art of dragon mastery and started using the energy in his body to repair Faubert's damaged meridian. After a few days of hard work, Lin Yi had repaired most of the damaged meridian in Faubert's body. Today was the last one. Lin Yi's energy quickly flowed into Faubert's body. Faubert's meridian was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Faubert couldn't help but moan in comfort. The pure energy that Lin Yi transferred to him was quickly absorbed by him. Before this, Faubert didn't believe that Lin Yi's pure energy could really be used by him without any side effects. However, after a few days, it was proven that Lin Yi's pure energy was really effective on him. It could be said that Lin Yi was very familiar with healing people. After about 15 minutes, the last damaged meridian in Faubert's body was completely repaired by Lin Yi. Now, Faubert was a person who could practice internal martial arts. Although there wasn't a trace of pure energy in Faubert's meridian, Lin Yi could feel the thickness of Faubert's meridian. If there was enough energy transferred to Faubert's meridian, he could immediately recover to become an Earth rank expert. This was the same situation when he dropped a level. It was similar to when he was in an online game. His level was still there, but he didn't have any experience points. This way there was an advantage. As long as there was enough energy, he could once again become an Earth rank expert without any effort. This way he wouldn't have to break through the bottleneck every time he cultivated. Lin Yi repaired the last meridian in Faubert's body. His heart suddenly surged with a fanatical impulse. That was, he couldn't wait to restore Faubert to an Earth rank expert. Previously, when he was repairing meridian, Lin Yi was still able to restrain himself. Every day he used a part of his energy to heal Faubert. But now that Faubert's meridian was completely repaired, Lin Yi really couldn't wait. Today is the day. Under the impulse, Lin Yi gritted his teeth. He decided that today he would continuously transfer energy to Faubert's body. Time waited for no man. Xie Yufeng's sudden appearance today made Lin Yi feel a sense of danger. Chapter 10-15. Master Training Plan. So Lin Yi felt a sense of pressure. He wanted to have a master by his side so that he wouldn't be afraid of those hidden threats. The reason why Lin Yi chose to restore Faubert's strength today was because of Xie Yufeng's strange actions today. Since he didn't want to expose his strength in front of him, then there shouldn't be any conflict between them for a while. So Lin Yi wanted to build Faubert before Xie Yufeng exposed his strength. After all, he was still safe during this period of time. He didn't need to worry about Xie Yufeng coming to kill him. With that thought, Lin Yi didn't stop transferring energy into Faubert's body. Instead, he waited for Faubert's meridians to recover before he continued using the art of dragon mastery, transferring energy into Faubert's body continuously. Faubert felt that his meridians were healed. He wanted to shout in joy and get up to move his body to feel the feeling of a spiritual master when he realized that Lin Yi's qi was still flowing into his body. What? You? Faubert's eyes widened as he looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi only smiled and didn't answer. He was still focused on transferring energy into Faubert's body. Faubert's heart skipped a beat. He understood a little. Lin Yi actually wanted to use the pure energy in his body to forcefully forge himself into a master. Uncle Fu had experienced this kind of situation before. The true qi that his wife cultivated could not only be used for healing, but it could also be used by him to increase his strength. However, every time his wife painstakingly cultivated a year's worth of vital energy into his body, it could only help him increase his strength by a small amount. Luckily, after his wife started training, the only thing she could do was help him train. So, Faubert didn't feel too guilty. After all, this was House Sun's method. But Lin Yi was different. Lin Yi wasn't related to him at all. Healing him and repairing his meridians was already giving him a new lease of life. It used up a lot of Lin Yi's qi. Now that Lin Yi wanted to forcefully transfer his qi into his body, how could Faubert not be excited? And Faubert also realized that Lin Yi's qi could really be used by him. As Lin Yi's qi flowed into his body, Faubert could feel his strength recovering bit by bit. This was the same as when he had just started cultivating internal martial arts. This made him feel like he was cultivating all over again. Looking at Lin Yi's smile, Faubert knew that Lin Yi had made up his mind. Although Lin Yi wasn't old, it was rare for him to change his mind when he was determined to do something. Although Faubert was embarrassed to accept Lin Yi's qi, he was afraid that interrupting Lin Yi at this moment would put him in more danger. Thinking of this, Faubert felt that he couldn't disappoint Lin Yi's kindness. He quickly circulated his sex mantra and mobilized the qi that Lin Yi transferred to him. He coordinated it with Lin Yi's circulation in his body. However, as soon as Uncle Fu revolved his mental cultivation method, the speed at which his body absorbed energy suddenly sped up. Any internal martial arts purpose was to absorb the qi of heaven and earth for one's own use. Therefore, after Faubert circulated his mantra, he was also absorbing qi. However, what he was absorbing was the qi that Lin Yi transferred to him. Lin Yi suddenly felt that Faubert's absorption speed had increased. However, Lin Yi was slightly stunned. He knew that Faubert was cooperating with him. Lin Yi didn't have the slightest intention to stop. The faster Faubert absorbed, the happier Lin Yi was. Although Lin Yi was struggling, after all, if the speed was fast, Lin Yi could quickly enter the space of the jade pendant to restore his strength after transforming Faubert. If possible, one night would be enough. The next morning Lin Yi could restore his previous strength. Time passed minute by minute, second by second. Lin Yi was constantly transferring qi, and Faubert was constantly absorbing qi. Both of them were like old monks in meditation. Neither of them spoke, but the expression on their faces became more and more serious. Faubert felt that he was about to enter the golden class. This made him pleasantly surprised, and he didn't dare to believe it. One had to know that to forcibly transform a person without any strength into a golden class master, how much qi was needed. So much pure qi, all of it was painstakingly cultivated, and Lin Yi actually gave it to him for free. While Faubert was touched, he secretly swore in his heart that he must repay Lin Yi in the future. This debt of gratitude was simply too great. Lin Yi seemed to feel the growth of Faubert's strength, and a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He was about to break through. Faubert felt that he had touched the door of the golden class. This made Faubert's thoughts involuntarily go back to the time when he first broke through to the golden class. How excited was he? Boom! This time, Falbert broke through to the golden class without any pressure. His body only trembled slightly, and he smoothly went through the transition from a normal fighter to a golden class master. Falbert's face suddenly showed a happy smile. How did he become a golden class spiritual master so easily? Isn't this too fast? However, after Falbert broke through to the golden class, Lin Yi clearly felt that Falbert's body was absorbing energy at a faster speed, and he was even a little overwhelmed. After checking the remaining energy in his body, Lin Yi slightly frowned. When he repaired Falbert's meridians, he already used up about a third of his energy. Now that he helped Falbert break through to the golden class, there was not much energy left in Lin Yi's body. He was about to reach the critical point. What should he do? Should he give up? Lin Yi was not willing to give up. He wanted to finish building this Master Falbert in one go. Success or failure depended on this one move. However, without energy in his body, how could he continue? That's right. Suddenly, Lin Yi suddenly remembered the process of transferring energy to General Wei Wu. After he entered the space of the Jade, as long as his body in the outside world maintained the state of energy transfer with Falbert, he could use the art of dragon mastery in the space of the Jade to not only absorb energy, but also transfer it directly to Falbert. He was so stupid. Lin Yi almost slapped his forehead and scolded himself for being stupid. Lin Yi quickly closed his eyes and entered the space of the Jade. This was because the energy in his body was almost completely depleted. After entering the space of the Jade, Lin Yi didn't care about the conversation with Jiao Lao and continued to quickly use the art of dragon mastery. As the energy in the space of the Jade flowed into Lin Yi's body, it continuously flowed into Falbert's body. Chapter 1016. Still puzzled at this moment, Lin Yi's body was like a transfer station, transferring the energy in the Jade space to Falbert's body. However, although Lin Yi absorbed the energy very quickly, the energy didn't stay in Lin Yi's body at all. Instead, it flowed into Falbert's body continuously. Falbert's body was like a bottomless pit, constantly swallowing the energy that Lin Yi sent over. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't surprised. Back then, General Wei Wu already needed a lot of energy, let alone a grown man like Falbert. Although Falbert's face was filled with surprise, it didn't take long for it to turn into shock. He originally thought that after Lin Yi sent some energy to his body as a foundation, it would stop. After all, there was a saying that the master led the way, the cultivation was up to the individual. Falbert planned to rely on himself in the future. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to send him endless energy. However, the current situation seemed to be different from what he imagined. Because Lin Yi's energy was still being sent over, there was no sign of it stopping. This made Falbert very surprised. Could Lin Yi hold on? Because Falbert felt that he was about to touch the barrier of the early phase of the golden class. This speed of leveling up was probably the first in history, right? Except for General Wei Wu. Thinking of General Wei Wu, Falbert really admired Chu Pingzhan a little. Where did Mr. Chu find such a ruthless person like Lin Yi? He was too fierce. He could create a master just by sitting at home. Although Falbert didn't know who Lin Yi was and which super force or sect he came from, he could tell that it wasn't simple from the fact that he could create a master just by sitting at home. At least, Lin Yi's background shouldn't be any weaker than his own sect, maybe even stronger. Thinking of this, Falbert's eyes became fiery. If he wanted to take revenge, it was not impossible. It was just that Lin Yi probably wouldn't intervene. When the time came, he would have to work hard on his own. Boom. Without any warning, Falbert broke through again. From the peak of the early phase of the golden class to the middle phase of the golden class. This kind of leveling speed, Falbert could not help but secretly click his tongue. It was too fast. Back then, it took him a few years to go from the early phase of the golden class to the middle phase of the golden class, but how long had it been? Only 3 hours, right? He went from a normal person to a master of the middle phase of the golden class. Falbert couldn't help but feel sorrowful when he thought of those people who cultivated bitterly, or even those who cultivated for their entire lives, but still couldn't improve their strength. Comparing oneself to others was really a case of death. For some people, not to mention the early phase of the golden class to the middle phase of the golden class, they had to go through a very difficult process to get from the early phase of the golden class to the early phase of the golden class. However, within a few hours, Falbert broke through without any pressure. Falbert reaching the middle phase of the golden class caused Lin Yi a lot of trouble. The energy Falbert needed to level up was obviously much more than General Wei Wu. Therefore, Lin Yi felt like his body was like a sieve. The energy rushed through his body without stopping at all, causing Lin Yi's meridians to be filled with a large amount of energy. But in order for Lin Yi to create an Earth-class master, Lin Yi endured it. Once this thing was successful, it would be a historical breakthrough. Perhaps no one would have thought that he would create an Earth-class Master's trump card, right? Thinking about it made Lin Yi extremely excited. As time went by, the energy Falbert absorbed in his body kept increasing. Another few hours passed, and Falbert's strength rose from the middle phase of the golden class to the peak of the middle phase of the golden class. Then, it was imaginable that he would have another breakthrough. When the sky outside started to brighten, Falbert already had the strength of the late phase of the golden class. Just a few days ago, Falbert was depressed and thought that he was crippled. The physical strength of the late phase of the golden class that he painstakingly cultivated was gone just like that. But now, not only was he about to have the strength of the late phase of the golden class again, but his spiritual strength was even better than his physical strength. While Falbert was enjoying the feeling of leveling up, Lin Yi wasn't having it so good. After all, a large amount of energy passed through Lin Yi's body, making Lin Yi feel like he was struggling to hold on. Continue. He had to continue. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and continued to silently circulate the art of dragon mastery, so that the energy in his body continued to be transferred to Falbert's body. Finally, Falbert's strength was advancing towards the peak of the late phase of the golden class. Lin Yi's lips curved into a smile. He was about to complete a big leap, and this made Lin Yi inexplicably excited. Lin Yi could clearly feel the change in Falbert's strength level, so as Falbert's strength increased, Lin Yi's heart was also extremely excited. The time to witness a miracle was coming. Under the strong transfer of energy from Lin Yi, Falbert's strength finally broke through to the peak of the late phase of the golden class. A hint of joy appeared on Lin Yi's face. It had only been a few hours, and Falbert had already turned from a normal person to a peak of the late phase of the golden class. It was even faster than taking a plane. It seemed like he had to work harder. Falbert was about to become a mystic class master. The peak of the late phase of the golden class was only one step away from the early phase of the mystic class. Thinking of this, Lin Yi worked even harder to circulate the art of dragon mastery, so that the energy quickly poured into Falbert's body. But then a strange thing happened. The energy that Lin Yi sent into Falbert's body stopped abruptly, as if he was filling up the gas tank of a car, and suddenly it was full. Although Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery didn't stop, the energy could no longer pass through his body to Falbert's body, and it was absorbed by Lin Yi's own body. What was going on? Lin Yi couldn't help but frown. He could be sure that his hand was still on Falbert's body. Logically speaking, this kind of situation shouldn't happen, but it just happened. Lin Yi stopped circulating the art of dragon mastery, and the energy in the space of the jade suddenly stopped flowing into Lin Yi's body. After resting for a while, Lin Yi circulated the art of dragon mastery again, wanting to let the energy pass through his body to Falbert. But Lin Yi helplessly found that the energy was still being absorbed into his body, and not transferred to Falbert. Chapter 10:17. Within reason, Falbert felt the energy in his body stop flowing, but he saw that Lin Yi didn't open his eyes. He didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, and he didn't dare disturb himself. He had a lot of things he wanted to say, but he could only hold it in for now. But seeing that Lin Yi finally opened his eyes, Falbert quickly said, "Lin Yi, you've given me so much of your energy, your strength. I'm fine." Lin Yi shook his head. "I don't know what's going on, but I'm stuck at the peak late phase of the golden class. I can't give you any more energy." Haha, peak late phase of the golden class. That's the same as my physical strength before I got injured. I'm already very satisfied with this. It doesn't matter if I can't increase it any further, at least I can continue practicing. This is much better than what I expected. Falbert said with gratitude and sincerity, "Lin Yi, thank you so much. But, you're clearly an Earth class. I want you to become an Earth class, peak late phase of the golden class. That's not the end." Lin Yi waved his hand and smiled at Falbert's gratitude, but he was still a little confused. Falbert almost froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. Wasn't Lin Yi a little too daring? Earth class? Lin Yi wanted to restore himself to an Earth class? This was something Falbert didn't even dare to think about. Lin Yi was actually this crazy. What's wrong? Falbert's scream pulled Lin Yi back to reality. It's nothing. Falbert shook his head. Lin Yi, you're really daring, aren't you? An Earth class? How can you create one so easily? You gave me all your pure chi, what are you going to do? Even if you give them all to me, you're only a mystic mid-phase. How can you create an Earth class? My strength. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. His situation was rather special. It was really difficult to explain it to Falbert. The energy in his body was not his own, but from the space of the jade pendant. The energy there was endless. Not to mention one Earth-ranked expert, even 10 Earth-ranked experts would be enough. But Lin Yi couldn't figure out why he was stuck at the peak of the late phase of the golden class when he was transferring energy to Faubert. It wasn't easy for me to become a peak late phase golden class master. I'm already very satisfied. When Faubert saw that Lin Yi had gone through so much trouble, he couldn't help but feel even more grateful. After all, I used to specialize in internal martial arts. I can continue to cultivate on my own. I was able to break through to Earth class before, so it's not impossible now. Lin Yi sighed. Faubert was right, but Lin Yi couldn't wait to have an Earth class as his bodyguard. Faubert's stagnation made Lin Yi feel a little dissatisfied. After all, the strength that was within his reach was stagnant for no reason. How could Lin Yi not be disappointed? Especially when all the conditions were in place, Lin Yi had the energy he wanted, and it was omnipotent. He could continuously transfer it to Faubert. Why was it stuck? This was a question that Lin Yi couldn't answer no matter how hard he thought about it. Faubert, how did you feel when the chi stopped? Lin Yi hesitated and asked. Faubert sighed and raised his head to speak to Lin Yi. I didn't feel anything special. I just felt that the chi from your side suddenly stopped. That? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. What Faubert said was basically the same as not saying anything. Lin Yi still couldn't figure out what the problem was. Don't worry about me, your own strength? Faubert looked at Lin Yi worriedly. You seem to have dropped a level? I'm fine. Could it be? Lin Yi was suddenly startled. Was it because he didn't have any energy in his body? Just relying on the energy from the jade wasn't enough for Faubert to break through? Did he need the energy in his body to assist him? Although this guess was a bit far-fetched, Lin Yi could only think of this possibility. Because other than this he couldn't think of any other problems. It was as if everything was ready and only the east wind was missing. This made Lin Yi take action immediately. Faubert, I'm going to rest for a while. I need to recover my strength. You should adjust yourself first. Lin Yi didn't say much. He needed to recover his strength as soon as possible. Only then would he know if it was because he didn't have any energy in his body that caused Faubert to be unable to break through. Okay, Lil Yi, go get some rest. Uncle Fu nodded and said quickly. Lin Yi didn't say much. He turned around and left Faubert's room, walking quickly to his own room. Miss and Shu had already gone to bed. Every night, Lin Yi went to heal Faubert, so they weren't surprised. After Lin Yi returned to his room, he quickly entered the jade space and used all the time he had to recover the lost energy in his body. It was already morning outside. Lin Yi had to make use of every minute and second to train. In the blink of an eye, the sun was high in the sky. It was already noon. Faubert sent Mengyao and Yushu to school. Although they were surprised that Lin Yi didn't wake up, Faubert told them that Lin Yi had used up a lot of energy to heal him, so he needed to rest. So Mengyao and Yushu didn't ask any more questions after hearing it. After Faubert sent them to school, he rushed home. He was worried about leaving Lin Yi alone at home. Although General Weiwu was guarding, Faubert had to be by his side to be at ease. The door to Lin Yi's room opened and Lin Yi walked out of the room. On the sofa, Faubert, who was waiting anxiously, heard the sound and quickly stood up. He looked at Lin Yi and asked quickly, how are you? I'm fine, my strength has recovered. Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a little regretful. After recovering his strength this time, he was still in the middle phase of Mystic Division. It seemed that not every loss of energy could bring about an increase in strength. The reason why his strength had increased a few times before was because he had been cultivating for a period of time. The energy in his body had almost accumulated, and he had already reached the barrier to the next level. Therefore, after he lost the energy, he once again absorbed the energy in one go and broke through the barrier, causing an instant breakthrough. Chapter 10:18. A helpless result, but even so, Lin Yi was still a little disappointed. Before, Lin Yi even wanted to transfer the energy out and cultivate it back so that he could level up quickly. But now, it seemed like that idea was really stupid. Breaking and building for Lin Yi was indeed a support for leveling up, but it was only a support. If he didn't reach the next level, he wouldn't be able to level up even if he used the energy to recover 100 times. This kind of opportunism was not a good idea. Thinking about it, Lin Yi found it laughable. This idea was too stupid. If it really worked, then wouldn't he be able to level up to Sky Class in no time? Even Sky Class wouldn't be that easy to reach. Recovered? Uncle Fu sucked in a breath of cold air. Faubert knew exactly how much pure chi Lin Yi transferred to him. Not only did it repair his meridians, but it also turned him from a normal person to a peak late phase golden class master. How much energy did that take? Even if Lin Yi didn't drop to mystic class, he would still be extremely weak. But Lin Yi recovered so quickly? But thinking about how shocking Lin Yi was before, Falbert could only smile bitterly. Lin Yi wasn't someone that could be judged by common sense. Falbert, now that my strength has recovered, let's do another experiment and see if it can help you break through again. Lin Yi said. Experiment again? You've just recovered your strength. Is that okay? Falbert looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't think that he'd just recovered his strength and now he was going to help him recover. We have to try it. Lin Yi nodded firmly. He didn't have the habit of giving up halfway, so once he decided on something he had to do it. Okay then. Falbert saw how determined Lin Yi was and nodded. It seems like I have no choice but to agree. Then I'll have to trouble you. Lin Yi shook his head and smiled. What's there to trouble? I just want to have an earth class by my side. That way House Yu and Xiao family won't be a threat anymore. Ah. Falbert heard Lin Yi's words and couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, if I was at my peak, what would House Yu and Xiao family amount to? They're just a common world noble house. They're nothing now. I'm just worried about the hidden house behind House Yu, Lin Yi said. Hidden house, yes. Although Uncle Fu didn't say anything, his words still carried a hint of pride. When Uncle Fu was young, he must have been someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with a hidden house, right? Lin Yi put his hand on Uncle Fu's shoulder again and said in a low voice, Uncle Fu, it's about to start, please get ready. Falbert, it's about to begin, please get ready. Falbert's smile disappeared and was replaced with a serious expression. He didn't want Lin Yi to waste more chi for him, but he was looking forward to breaking through again. Lin Yi activated the art of dragon mastery, preparing to transfer the energy in his body to Falbert's body. However, something strange happened again. The chi circulated in Lin Yi's body, but it didn't go to Falbert's body at all. Falbert, have you started your own chant? Lin Yi was startled and asked. Yes, I'm doing it now. Falbert nodded. It hasn't started yet? Let me try again. Lin Yi frowned and continued to activate the art of dragon mastery. However, the situation was still the same. His chi couldn't be transferred to Falbert through his hands. It was as if Falbert didn't need his chi at all and couldn't get it from his body. This was exactly the same situation as yesterday. Lin Yi's chi couldn't be used by Falbert. Half an hour passed. Although Lin Yi's chi hadn't been consumed at all, he was so tired that his face was flushed and he was sweating profusely. Falbert wasn't relaxed either. Because of his cultivation and anxiety, he was also sweating profusely. Sigh. Lin Yi let out a long breath unwillingly, but at this moment, he had to give up. He had no way to transfer chi to Falbert's body. If you can't do it, just give up. I can cultivate by myself. It's not a problem. Falbert saw how tired Lin Yi was and quickly said. But Lin Yi wasn't willing. He really wasn't willing. Is it because Falbert's cultivation technique is different from mine? But even if it's different, isn't my cultivation technique omnipotent? Why does it suddenly not work? Lin Yi stood up and wanted to move his numb body. He accidentally saw General Wei Wu. Lin Yi's expression changed slightly and he called General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu, come here. Woof woof. Ever since General Wei Wu was made into a master by Lin Yi, it was extremely close to Lin Yi. When Lin Yi called for it, it ran over happily and jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Lin Yi thought that if Falbert's cultivation technique was different from his, then he and General Wei Wu would be considered as the dog of the same master. So Lin Yi wanted to try and see if he could increase General Wei Wu's strength. Lin Yi hugged General Wei Wu and activated the art of dragon mastery. However, what disappointed Lin Yi was that only a small amount of energy entered General Wei Wu's body. What happened next was exactly the same as Falbert's situation. The energy transfer stopped abruptly. Lin Yi couldn't transfer any more energy into General Wei Wu's body. General Wei Wu was a dog with the strength of the peak of the late phase of the golden class. The little bit of energy that was transferred was probably only enough to make up for General Wei Wu's energy consumption. When General Wei Wu fought against Yu Bide, it probably used up some of its energy. However, General Wei Wu didn't know how to cultivate and recover on its own, so it used up all its energy. It could only rely on Lin Yi to replenish its energy. However, after replenishing its energy, it was impossible to transfer more energy into General Wei Wu. Lin Yi couldn't help but fall into deep thought again. It was the same for General Wei Wu. It couldn't break through anymore. What was the reason? Lin Yi, the strength of the peak of the late phase of the golden class is not bad. Seeing the disappointment on Lin Yi's face, Falbert quickly comforted him. I know. Lin Yi sighed and said, Falbert, go do what you need to do. I'm going to school now. Since it had come to this, Lin Yi could only give up. It seemed like he was too naive. He thought that his energy was omnipotent and he could mass-produce masters. Chapter 10:19. Jiao Lao's explanation, although being at the peak of the late phase of the golden class was already a very powerful existence in the mortal world, it was almost like a phoenix feather. But it was useless to Lin Yi now. Lin Yi's enemies were all from the noble houses and not the mortal world. They were all mystic class masters. Faubert and General Wei Wu couldn't help him either. Whatever, it seemed like trickery wasn't a good idea, he still had to rely on himself. Faubert saw that Lin Yi was shaking his head and sighing. He knew that he must be very disappointed, so he didn't say much and just sighed. Xiao Yi, I'll go to Mr. Chu's company, you drive to school yourself? And I'll go myself, Lin Yi said. I'll go take a shower first. Faubert, you can go first. Okay. Faubert saw that Lin Yi had recovered his strength, so he didn't worry anymore and left the mansion. Lin Yi returned to his room and asked Jiao Lao in the jade space eagerly, Jiao Lao, isn't my energy omnipotent? Why can't Faubert become an Earth-class master? Why can't I increase General Wei Wu's strength? Lin Yi was in a rush to recover his strength, so he didn't have time to talk to Jiao Lao. Now that he failed, he wanted to ask Jiao Lao the reason. I'm not sure either. Jiao Lao's voice rang in Lin Yi's ears. I see. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Even Jiao Lao didn't know the reason? I haven't finished. Jiao Lao was obviously unhappy with Lin Yi's interruption. But I have some guesses. Jiao Lao, please speak. Lin Yi quickly asked. Although I'm not sure about your situation, I've seen something similar before. Elder Jiao said slowly, in some martial arts sects, there are some secret techniques that can be used to pass on their skills. It can also be called inheritance or empowerment. Inheritance? Empowerment? Lin Yi blinked. That's right. It's when an elderly person passes on his life's cultivation to his disciple through a secret technique, allowing his disciple's strength to increase rapidly. Jiao Yazi said, however, after receiving the inheritance, the disciple will always be one level lower than the master. Only by diligently cultivating in the future, will the disciple be able to reach the master's height. One level lower. Lin Yi nodded thoughtfully. Yes, if all strengths can be passed on, then their sects will be infinitely strong, and there will be countless masters. Then would other sects still need to survive? Jiao Yazi said, but even so, these sects are still very big. Jiao Lao, you mean that this is also a type of inheritance? Lin Yi nodded and asked. Should be about the same. Jiao Yazi said, it's just that after you pass on the inheritance, you can quickly recover your strength in the space of the jade, but others can't. That is indeed the case. Lin Yi's golden finger was indeed a bit overpowered. So, you are now a mystic class master, and according to the theory of inheritance, you can only pass on a master one level lower than you. The peak of the late phase of the golden class is already the limit. Jiao Yazi said. Sai, it would have been better if I talked to you earlier, then I wouldn't have to waste my energy to experiment. Lin Yi listened to Jiao Yazi's guess and knew that it wasn't far from the truth. How do you know it won't work if you don't experiment? I saw that your experiment failed, so I came to this conclusion. Jiao Yazi laughed. Otherwise, I would have thought that you could make an Earth-class master. Yes. But if only Faubert could enter the space of the jade. Lin Yi sighed to himself. But as soon as this thought came out, Lin Yi quickly rejected it. Not to mention that he was the only one who could enter the space of the jade. Even if Faubert could enter, Lin Yi wouldn't let him. After all, this was Lin Yi's biggest trump card. Although Lin Yi felt that Faubert was trustworthy, this kind of secret should be kept to himself. One more person meant one more danger. During the experiment, Lin Yi was sweating profusely. Now that he communicated with Jiao Lao, Lin Yi completely gave up on the idea of making an Earth-class master because it was unrealistic, unless he had the strength of a Heaven-class master. But if he had the strength of a Heaven-class master, then what was the use of making an Earth-class master in batches? Lin Yi took off his clothes, turned on his phone, and went to the bathroom to take a shower. Lin Yi was afraid of being disturbed, so he turned off his phone. He didn't know if anyone contacted him. Donghai, Dr. Kang's house. In front of Dr. Kang's villa stood the two brothers, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben. They were holding expensive gifts in their hands. They were here to visit Dr. Kang. After receiving the report, Dr. Kang wasn't in a hurry to let the brothers in. Instead, he called Kang Guifeng, Kang Tsuepu, Kang Xiaolong, and Kang Mingming together for a family meeting. The Xiao family is most likely here for Xiaolong's marriage. Guifeng, what do you think? Dr. Kang looked at his eldest son and asked faintly. Father, from what I see, the Xiao family is like a stray dog. Uncle Pai is in a vegetative state, and the Xiao family owes Lin Yi a huge debt. The Xiao family is about to be destroyed and we should stay away from them. Kang Guifeng voiced his opinion. As far as he was concerned, the Xiao family had lost their value. Dr. Kong nodded. In fact, this was the reason why he didn't let the Xiao family brothers enter the house. Dr. Kong had seen the Xiao family's recent misfortune. The Xiao family was done for. They didn't even look like a noble house anymore. They couldn't even compare to the rich families of other places. To put it nicely, the Xiao family was still a noble house, but anyone could see that the Xiao family would be removed from the noble house meeting soon. A family that couldn't even compare to a normal noble house, let alone a noble house. Gui Feng is right, the Xiao family situation is tragic. Miracle Dr. Kong said. We wanted to use House Xiao to enter the ranks of a noble house, but they can't even protect themselves right now. Not only can they not provide us with any benefits, but if we were to marry them now, their debts and the mess they've left behind will fall on us. Zuepu, what do you think? Miracle Dr. Kong shifted his gaze to his second son. Chapter 10:20. House Kang's attitude towards the Xiao family, ridiculous. Merge? Then are we House Kong or Xiao family? Dr. Kong waved his hand, cutting Zuepu off impatiently. Alright, that's enough. Xiaolong, tell us. Yes, Grandpa. Xiaolong walked up respectfully. Grandpa, second uncle's words are reasonable, but what we need to do isn't merge, we need to replace them. The Xiao family is in dire straits and we need to make them even worse. Only when the Xiao family's title as an aristocratic family is removed will our Kong family have the chance to be promoted to a new aristocratic family. Looking at all the noble houses right now, we have the most potential. Oh? Not bad. Dr. Kong couldn't help but laugh at Xiaolong's words. Ah. Xiaolong is right, the Xiao family is in dire straits and we need to make them even worse. Only when they're in dire straits will we have a chance. Good. What a great idea. Grandpa, you're too kind. Xiaolong smiled humbly. Zuepu frowned. What kind of logic was there in his words? If it weren't for Xiaolong giving him some face, he'd know that his words were bullshit. But his mind wasn't on this and he didn't have any brains. What about Xiaoming? What do you think? Dr. Kong looked at Kong Ming. Grandpa, actually Big Brother's words make sense, but I don't think they're completely right. Kong Ming felt that his father had lost face and as a son he should earn it back. Plus, Kong Ming wanted to leave a good impression in front of his grandpa, so he'd thought about it for a long time before saying this. Tell me what's not completely right. Dr. Kong took Kong Ming's words seriously. Kong Ming may be a spoiled brat, but he was much better than his old man Zuepu. Grandpa, as the saying goes, even a salted fish can still make a comeback one day. Kong Ming said, although the Xiao family is down now, they are still an aristocratic family. We don't know how many connections they have. If they really make a comeback, it's hard to say. Stage a comeback? Dr. Kong shook his head. In his opinion, how could the Xiao family stage a comeback? It's more like a broken family. However, Kong Ming had made a lot of contributions to the family recently, so Dr. Kong couldn't reprimand him. He just continued to ask, in your opinion, what should we do? I think the marriage with the Xiao family can't be broken, but not with Big Brother. Kong Ming laughed a little embarrassedly. We can transfer the marriage to me. I'll accept that pretty girl from the Xiao family reluctantly. I'm a spoiled brat from House Kong, and the Xiao family is down now. It won't affect us if I kick her out, because I'm a spoiled brat who only plays with women. No one can say anything if I kick her out, but Big Brother won't be able to. But if they don't fall, we can still maintain our relationship. Miracle Dr. Kong fell into deep thought after hearing Xiaoming's words. Xiaolong, on the other hand, laughed heartily as he looked at Xiaoming. Lil bro, you like Wang Xinyan? Pretty girls are everywhere. No matter what, she's still your sister-in-law. It's not good for you to think like that. Kong Ming did have his own selfish motives, so he blushed when he was exposed. He argued, I'm doing this for the good of House Kong. Let's do as Xiaolong says. Dr. Kong didn't say anything more about Kong Ming's opinion. Xiaolong is right. People who do big things shouldn't care so much about women. Yes, Grandpa. Kong Ming wasn't convinced. In fact, he really felt that way. As for getting Wang Xinyan, he had his own selfish motives, but what if the Xiao family wasn't stripped of their noble house title? House Yu had been at a disadvantage recently as well. What if House Yu decided to lay low during the noble house meeting and let the Xiao family go? Or maybe they had the same thoughts as the enemies of the Xiao family. The Xiao family was still useful to them. But Kong Ming knew that nothing he said would change anything. He could only let his grandpa think that he was playing with Wang Xinyan. Of course, that was exactly what he was thinking. Since House Kong had decided on how to deal with the Xiao family, there was no need to hide anything. Kang Guifeng walked out of House Kang's villa and welcomed the Xiao family brothers. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben had been waiting in front of House Kang's villa for a long time. They'd already sent someone to notify them, but after waiting for half an hour, no one from House Kang came out. "Brother, do you think House Kang won't want to see us? Damn it, what a snob. When our Xiao family was powerful they tried so hard to get close to us, but now that something has happened to us, they treat us with this attitude." Xiao Ji was a hot-tempered man, and when he got impatient he yelled, "How long has it been? Half an hour, right? Still no one? What kind of bullshit is House Kang playing?" Xiao Ben sighed as he looked at his raging brother. "Brother, calm down. Our Xiao family isn't in trouble right now, is it? Uncle Pai's in a vegetative state, and our Xiao family's only hope is gone. We owe Linny a huge debt and we're in a lot of trouble right now. It's normal that House Kang doesn't want to see us." "Normal? I think it's just a shameless snob," Xiao Ji humphed. "What the hell are you talking about? Brother, someone's here. Stop arguing." Xiao Ben's eyes were sharp and he saw the door move a little. He quickly stopped Xiao Ji from cursing anymore in case he offended someone. Xiao Ji quickly shut his mouth when he heard that someone was here. He was just cursing a little, and he didn't dare curse anymore if someone from House Kang really came out. After all, they were here to beg for help, not the other way around. But what the Xiao family brothers didn't expect was that the person who came out was Dr. Kang's eldest son, Kang Guifeng, Xiaolong's father by marriage. Xiao Ben heaved a sigh of relief. There was still hope if someone of such importance was sent to greet the two brothers. With that thought, he quickly went over with a smile. "Kang bro, why did you come out to greet us personally?" "I'm sorry." Xiao Ji paused as well. He didn't think that Kang Guifeng would come out to greet them personally, and his anger lessened a lot. He quickly went over as well. "Kang bro." Chapter 10:21. A bad memory. Kang Guifeng's attitude took Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben by surprise. They were considered in-laws with Kang Guifeng, and even if they weren't married yet, Kang Guifeng shouldn't be this cold, should he? It was as if he didn't know them at all. "Brother Kang, what do you mean? Xiao family and House Kang are in-laws, isn't it inappropriate for them to visit each other?" Xiao Ben pretended to be confused. "In-laws? Since when did our families become in-laws?" Kang Guifeng blinked. "I don't think so, Xiao Ben. Xiao Ben, did you remember wrongly?" Xiao Ben was taken aback by Kang Guifeng's words as well. He didn't think that Kang Guifeng would say something like that. Wasn't he just denying it? Xiao Ben's face darkened. "Kang bro, didn't your son Xiaolong and my niece Wang Xinyan already set an engagement?" "Set an engagement? Look at my memory. Are you for real?" Guifeng, on the other hand, didn't know what was going on. He slapped his head. "I really can't remember, can you remind me? When was the engagement ceremony, and which hotel was it held? Who attended the engagement banquet?" What? Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji froze. This engagement was clearly a verbal agreement. How could there be an engagement ceremony and an engagement banquet? They hadn't even started yet, so where was the hotel or the witnesses? Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji finally understood that Kang Guifeng was doing this on purpose. He wanted to cancel the engagement. Their Xiao family was in dire straits, and Kang Guifeng probably didn't want to get married to the Xiao family anymore. That was why he was acting dumb. "Kang bro, isn't this our verbal agreement?" Xiao Ben said, suppressing his anger. He knew that he couldn't lose his temper at this time. Once he lost his temper he wouldn't have a chance. That would be falling into the Kang family's trap. They would use his anger as an excuse to cut ties with the Kang family. "Verbal agreement?" Kang Guifeng frowned. "I don't remember anything." "You?" Xiao Ben was pissed and Xiao Ji was on the verge of going berserk. "Hey, I'm sorry. Look at my memory. I've been forgetful lately. I can't remember anything that happened before. Many scammers have come to me recently saying that I agreed to marry them, but they can't prove it." Kang Guifeng shook his head, troubled. "How about this, Xiao Ben? Your Xiao family is an aristocratic family. I believe that you aren't scammers, but there's no proof. Show me some evidence to prove that Xiaolong and your Xiao family have a marriage. I'll definitely approve of it. After all, Xiao family is an aristocratic family. It's an honor for us to marry you." "You motherfucker." Xiao Ji was about to scold him, but Xiao Ben glared at him. If that's the case, why do we need evidence? Why don't we make the decision now and rearrange the marriage? Our Xiao family also thinks that your Kang family is a good choice." Xiao Ben was a smart man, so he followed up on Kang Guifeng's topic. "This." Kang Guifeng was stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Ben to catch on to his weakness. He couldn't help but be annoyed at his own carelessness. Xiaoji was also looking at his little brother in admiration. Amazing, truly amazing. Luckily I didn't scold him, or else this matter would have been ruined and irreversible. Xiaoben, you're right. However, I still can't agree to it. Kang Guifeng shook his head and rejected again. Why is that? What? Brother Kang's words just now were just flattery? Xiaoben took the opportunity to ask. That's not it. It's just that our Xiaolong is indeed engaged to another family, but I can't remember who it is at the moment. So, before everyone finds the evidence, I can't just casually arrange another engagement for Xiaolong for the time being. What if someone really has evidence and says that our Kang family broke off the marriage? Kang Guifeng said, so, Brother Xiaoben, you better go back and find evidence. Sigh, this memory of mine. I'm getting old and my brain isn't working well anymore. After that, Kang Guifeng turned around and walked back to the villa. As he walked, he waved at the Xiao family brothers. I still have something to do, so I won't be seeing you off. Xiaoben's face was gloomy. The situation was clear. The Kang family broke off the marriage. They abandoned the Xiao family. However, one couldn't blame the Kang family for being snobbish. It couldn't be helped. After all, the Xiao family was in dire straits. It was normal for the Kang family to break off the marriage. Which great family would want to find a helper for themselves through marriage, not a burden? Phew. Xiaoben let out a long sigh and said, Brother, let's go back. It's over. Motherfucker. Are you blind? When the Xiao family makes a comeback, even if your Kang family licks my toes, I won't abandon you. Xiaoji scolded loudly, Dr. Kang, you old bastard. You go back on your words. You will die a horrible death. Motherfucker. However, the Kang family's door was closed and they didn't pay attention to them. Obviously, after Kang Guifeng went back, he didn't plan to come out again. Let's go. Xiaoben turned around helplessly and walked to the car. Kang family, just you wait. Sooner or later you will regret it. After Xiaoji finished scolding, he also vented his anger and left the Kang family's villa with Xiaoben in the car. At the gate of the Kang family's villa, Kang Guifeng sneered as he watched the two Xiao family brothers leave. He sneered, the Xiao family? You have become a street rat. Do you still expect to make a comeback? In your mother's daydream. After Xiaoji and Xiaoben got into the car, Xiaoji didn't stop cursing. All kinds of vulgar words and dialects came out of his mouth. In any case, he described the Kang family viciously and cursed all 18 generations of the Kang family's ancestors. Alright brother, stop scolding them. This is the fate of the Xiao family. Xiaoben sighed and said, now we should think about the future of the Xiao family. That's true. Xiaoji nodded. Although he was rude, he knew that it was useless to be angry now. Even if he scolded the Kang family, it wouldn't change the current situation of the Xiao family. Have you found any information on Uncle Pai's background? Xiaoben asked. I've already asked Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao to look in our family's diary, but it's been too long and we don't have a target. We don't know when we'll find it, Xiaoji said. If only Uncle Pai could wake up and talk. Xiaoben said. Chapter 1022. Xiao Xiao's Rage Lin Yi took a nice hot shower, washing away the sweat on his body. He put on his clothes and was about to leave when he realized that there were 10 missed calls and 20 messages. The text messages could be sent at different times and received as soon as the phone was turned on, but the phone call must have just arrived. Lin Yi checked the missed calls. There was only one from Tang Yun, and the rest were all from Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi paused, but he still checked the messages first. Lin Yi was speechless. They were all from Xiao Xiao. Darling, I miss you. This message came in the middle of the night. I got up early this morning. Come and pick me up early. This was sent in the morning. I'm done packing, going downstairs. This was from morning as well. Lin Yi? Why didn't you reply? This was from morning as well. Lin Yi, are you coming to pick me up or not? Why haven't I seen you? I'm going to be late. This was from morning as well. Why, did you forget about me? This was from morning as well. Your phone's turned off, you really aren't coming to pick me up. This was from morning as well. Lin Yi, you bastard, you should at least tell me if you don't want me anymore. I woke up in the middle of the night to get dressed. This was from morning as well. I'll take a taxi to school myself, can't wait. This was from morning as well. Why didn't you come to school today? Where are you? What's wrong? This was from morning as well. Why's your phone still turned off, what's wrong? This was from morning as well. Lin Yi smiled bitterly as he looked at Xiao Xiao's long list of messages, slapping his forehead helplessly. Only then did she remember that she'd promised Xiao Xiao yesterday that she'd take her to school this morning, but because of Uncle Fu she didn't get to go. What about Yanin? How did she go to school? Lin Yi looked at his messages, and under the sea of messages from Xiao Xiao, he finally saw one from Tang Yun. Lin Yi, Faubert came to pick me up for school this morning. He said that you need to rest after healing him. I'm fine, you can rest well. Lin Yi looked at Tang Yun's message and realized that it was Faubert who picked her up in the morning. Because Lin Yi didn't wake up, Faubert knew that Lin Yi had to pick Tang Yun up at school every day, so he naturally took on this responsibility. But he didn't know about Xiao Xiao's sudden incident, and the Miss and Yushu evidently didn't think of Xiao Xiao. After all, Xiao Xiao usually drove to school by herself. Who knew that she would have a date with Lin Yi today? Lin Yi sighed and decided to call Xiao Xiao first. Lin Yi, you finally called me? I'm so happy. You called the small wife first. Xiao Xiao's excited voice came from the other side of the phone. Lin Yi wanted to apologize to Xiao Xiao because from her message he could tell that she was quite angry, and he did screw her over, making her wait the whole morning for nothing. But before Lin Yi could say anything, Xiao Xiao called out excitedly, forcing Lin Yi to swallow the apology he was about to say. I was healing someone and forgot the time, so I didn't wake up this morning. Lin Yi said. Okay, I knew you wouldn't ignore me for no reason. As expected, you didn't even talk to the big wife and called the small wife first. Yunin sis is getting jealous. Xiao Xiao said happily. Xiao Xiao, what are you talking about? Who's getting jealous? Tang Yun said helplessly. She didn't feel anything about Lin Yi calling Xiao Xiao first. She didn't want to get jealous with Xiao Xiao, and besides, Xiao Xiao had called Lin Yi a dozen times and texted him 20 times, while she only sent one. She'd already said that she knew about Lin Yi's situation, so it was reasonable for Lin Yi to call Xiao Xiao first. What was there to be jealous about? Oh, you're with Yunin? Lin Yi blinked, sweating. Tang Yun wouldn't be unhappy that he called Xiao Xiao first, would she? But Tang Yun's voice didn't sound different, so she wasn't angry anymore. I couldn't find you, so I went to Yunin sis. I asked and found out that you didn't come to pick me up because you were healing someone, Xiao Xiao said. Yunin sis called you just now and got through, but you didn't pick up, so I called you a bunch. Ha! Lin Yi shook his head with a smile. This Xiao Xiao was quite an optimist, getting angry fast, getting happy fast, getting excited fast again. Are you coming to school in the afternoon? Xiao Xiao asked. Yeah, I'll be there in a bit. Lin Yi said. Xiao Xiao was excited. She'd gotten up in the middle of the night to dress up, preparing to surprise Lin Yi in the morning, but she didn't even see Lin Yi. She couldn't help but feel disappointed. If she didn't see Lin Yi today, her makeup would be for nothing. Give the phone to Yunin, I'll talk to her. Lin Yi said. Since Tang Yun was by Xiao Xiao's side, Lin Yi didn't need to bother calling. Okay, Yunin sis, Lin Yi's looking for you. Xiao Xiao passed the phone to Tang Yun. Tang Yun took the phone and couldn't help but smile. Lin Yi, you got a second wife and forgot about the main one? Haha, of course not. Lin Yi smiled. He could tell that Tang Yun was joking. Stop fooling around. Are you alright? If you're tired, then don't come in the afternoon. Tang Yun cared about Lin Yi. After all, she and Lin Yi had been together for a long time. She didn't need to rush to see Lin Yi. I'm fine, see you later. Lin Yi said casually. Alright, see you later. Is there anything else you need from Xiao Xiao? Tang Yun asked. Nope, I'm hanging up. Lin Yi said before hanging up. Tang Yun gave the phone back to Xiao Xiao, who happily put it away. Yunin sis, I look good now, right? I don't need to touch up my makeup from this morning, right? It's already good, you don't need to. Tang Yun smiled. Really? That's not bad. Xiao Xiao nodded. Lin Yi drove to school and parked his car at the food street behind the school, next to Xiao Xiao's car. But beside Xiao Xiao's car, there was another luxury car. It was a black Lamborghini. Chapter 1023. Lin Yi jumped. Was this Ye Yufeng pretty rich? He bought a sports car on his first day of school transfer? But Lin Yi only took one look before walking back to school. What car Yufeng drove had nothing to do with him. As long as he didn't mess with him, he could do whatever he wanted. When Lin Yi got to school, it was already the first class in the afternoon. Lin Yi walked into the classroom and sat down at his desk. Not long after, the teacher walked in and started the afternoon class. Xiao Xiao was disappointed. Lin Yi didn't even look at her when he walked in. Didn't he notice that she was different from usual? Even that idiot Yufeng noticed it. After a while, Lin Yi still didn't look at her. He took out his textbook and listened to the teacher attentively. This made Xiao Xiao depressed. Ahem. Xiao Xiao couldn't take it anymore. She coughed twice, hoping to get Lin Yi's attention. What's wrong? Do you have a cold? Lin Yi heard Xiao Xiao's coughing and asked. But Lin Yi didn't even look at her when he asked. No. Xiao Xiao was even more depressed now. Hey Lin Yi, talk to me? What? You're not paying attention anymore? Lin Yi asked. You always skip class, what's there to listen to? Talk to me. Xiao Xiao was panicking. Go ahead, I'm listening. Lin Yi nodded. You. Xiao Xiao was pissed. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Can't you turn around and look at me? Look at you? Why would I look at you? Lin Yi asked. Just tell me if you dare to look or not. Xiao Xiao said, panicking. Lin Yi's observation skills were extremely sharp. He'd seen Xiao Xiao the moment he entered the classroom and he'd been stunned by her beauty. The first time he saw Xiao Xiao, she had heavy makeup on, looking like a non-mainstream girl. When she was at school, she didn't have any makeup on, but today she had light makeup on, and her hairstyle was meticulously styled. Even her clothes were carefully matched with some simple accessories. It made Xiao Xiao look especially beautiful. It was just that Lin Yi wanted to tease Xiao Xiao, so he didn't say it out loud. As expected, Xiao Xiao couldn't wait any longer. What are you laughing at? Xiao Xiao asked back. Do you dare to look or not? I wouldn't dare. Lin Yi shook his head. Xiao Xiao paused, not expecting Lin Yi to say no. This caused her to freeze for a moment, then she immediately gritted her teeth. Lin Yi, why don't you dare? Because you're too pretty today. I only took one look at you when I came in, and my heart was already racing. I'm afraid that if I look too much, I'll molest you in the classroom, Lin Yi said. Xiao Xiao's mouth was wide open at Lin Yi's words, but then a smile blossomed on her face. So Lin Yi had seen what she looked like. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but feel happy. She started to say things when she was happy. It's fine, look again, I'm not afraid of being molested. Ahem. It was Lin Yi's turn to cough. Lin Yi, what's wrong? Do you have a cold? Xiao Xiao asked with a smile as she saw him coughing. She knew that Lin Yi was shocked by her words, but it was fun to scare Lin Yi a little. No. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Xiao Xiao, you really are pretty today. Hee, good thing I didn't wake up early for nothing. I almost exploded when I didn't see you this morning, so I went to the washroom to wash off my makeup and messed up my hair. Xiao Xiao smiled. Lin Yi was getting a little restless from Xiao Xiao, but now that both Tang Yun and Tianlong had agreed to the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao, and even the Miss and Shu weren't against it, Lin Yi couldn't resist the temptation anymore, and his hands started moving. Xiao Xiao suddenly felt Lin Yi's arms around her waist, and her face reddened. As brave as she was in a classroom and the teacher was still teaching. She was starting to get nervous. But Lin Yi had finally taken the initiative to get close to her, and she didn't want to let go of Lin Yi's hand. Usually Lin Yi wouldn't do something like this, and so Xiao Xiao was in a dilemma. Her body was stiff from nervousness like a lobster that had come back to life. Lin Yi sensed that Xiao Xiao wasn't acting normally, and quickly took his hand away, blaming himself for being impulsive. Xiao Xiao was a girl after all, and while she was a little bold, it wouldn't be good if other people saw him cuddling with her in the classroom. Xiao Xiao breathed out in relief when she felt Lin Yi's hand move away, but she was a little disappointed. Xiao Xiao's heart raced when Lin Yi touched her, and to tell the truth, she really liked this feeling. Was this the pleasure brought by intimate actions between lovers? Xiao Xiao knew that she didn't have much time left, and she didn't care if things progressed too fast or too slow. Since she'd chosen Lin Yi was her one and only boyfriend in this life, and also her last boyfriend. She was going to be 20 soon, and who knew when she'd die. She wanted to enjoy the feeling of being in a relationship, and she didn't have the time to be reserved. But she was afraid that she'd scare Lin Yi if she was too passionate. Tang Yun seemed to be a reserved person, right? At that thought, Xiao Xiao started to struggle. What a headache, she couldn't act too impatient. Xiao Xiao, I'm sorry. Lin Yi apologized bitterly, thinking that Xiao Xiao was angry when she didn't say anything. It's nothing. Xiao Xiao shook her head. We're sitting at the back and no one can see us. You can continue if you want. We'll talk about it when there's no one around. Lin Yi controlled his desire and said. Oh. Xiao Xiao nodded, feeling a little down. But since Lin Yi said that they'd talk about it when there was no one around, that meant that Lin Yi had agreed. Lin Yi would always reject her, but now that he'd agreed, it made Xiao Xiao very happy. She whispered into Lin Yi's ear, when there's no one around, I'll let you touch my chest. Chapter 1024. Chapter 1022, Xie Yufeng's plans, but remembering that they were in the classroom, he shook his head. But Xiao Xiao's words were too tempting and destructive, and he didn't know how she managed to say it. Xiao Xiao didn't mean what she said, but the listener meant what she said. The only thing she could think of being intimate with Lin Yi was that time at the auction, so she just blurted it out naturally, not thinking too much about it. But from Lin Yi's point of view, it sounded a little tempting. Why were you reacting so strongly? Lin Yi's actions almost made Xiao Xiao's heart pop out of her chest. She was already nervous and Lin Yi's sudden quack scared her. It's fine Xiao Xiao, don't try to tempt me in class. Lin Yi said helplessly. Ah. Xiao Xiao blinked, blushing. Since when did I? Haha. Lin Yi smiled. Xiao Xiao turned her head away embarrassed, not daring to look at Lin Yi. She was brave but she couldn't take Lin Yi's teasing. But just as Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao were teasing each other, an unfriendly gaze shot over, stopping on Xiao Xiao's face before glancing at Lin Yi's face. The owner of the gaze had a dark expression as he humphed coldly. This kid's quite popular. Yeah, Master Xia. That kid's a bastard. He made Master Xia so miserable yesterday. Song Ming nodded. Master Xia can't fight, he has to hide his strength. Otherwise that Lin Yi won't be a match for Master Xia. He's just a mystic early phase, he's so weak in front of Master Xia. House Yu's current understanding of Lin Yi's strength came from Yu Kuan. At that time, Lin Yi was indeed at the early phase of Mystic class, and House Yu would never have dreamt that Lin Yi could rise 2 levels to the middle phase of Mystic class in such a short amount of time. As far as they were concerned, this was impossible and illogical. One had to know how long it would take to level up and what kind of price one had to pay. House Yu knew this very well, so they didn't think that Lin Yi could level up at all. So Yu Feng didn't know that Lin Yi was already a Mystic mid-phase master. As far as he was concerned, he was a peak early-phase Mystic class master. It was more than enough to kill Lin Yi. He couldn't be blamed for thinking so. He didn't have a cheat like Lin Yi, so how could he see through Lin Yi's strength? Of course. But for the sake of House Yu's plan, I can't use my chi. I'll have to bear with it for now. Yu Feng humphed coldly. The Xiao Xiao is a slut too. Look at that dirty face of hers, getting so close with Lin Yi. She's not a good person either. Right? Did you find out anything about the girls I asked you to investigate? Yu Feng wasn't able to get Xiao Xiao yesterday, so naturally he was pissed. Seeing how close Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi were, he wasn't too happy either. Master Xia, other than Meng Yao, we've investigated the rest. This Xiao Xiao's family isn't anything special. Her father may be a secret agent, but he wouldn't go against House Yu just because of his daughter. Song Ming said. Chim, what about the others? Yu Feng nodded. That Yu Shu is from House Qin, it's best if you don't touch her, Master Xia. Song Ming said. House Qin. Noble House Qin? Yu Feng asked. Yes, her brother is Qin Yutian. Although Qin Yutian is the only practitioner left, it's still a noble house. Song Ming said. So it's best if you don't touch her. Oh, then let her go for now. That girl's pretty bad, I really don't want to mess with her. Yu Feng nodded. What about that Tang Yun? Normal family, her parents are laid off. They don't even have a house, staying in the hospital. Song Ming said. You can touch her even if you kill her. Oh, not bad. Let's start with Xiao Xiao then look for that Tang Yun. Yu Feng nodded. Master Xia, this Xiao Xiao girl doesn't seem to be easy to handle. Should we do something? Song Ming suggested. In Yanjing, House Yu was a big family, so Song Ming and Peng Hu didn't care about anything when they were with Yu Feng. As far as they were concerned, hitting on girls like this was a common thing. Not yet, let's wait and see. My charm hasn't been unleashed yet. Once it's unleashed, they'll throw themselves at me. Yu Feng remembered the scene of him getting beaten up yesterday and couldn't help but grit his teeth. Fuck, yesterday was supposed to be a good opportunity, but that Lin Yi kid just had to be there. Not only did I get beaten up, I didn't even get to show my strength. Young Master Xia, those people from yesterday, do you need me and Li Peng Hu? Song Ming made a beheading gesture as he said this. No need, we're new here, so it's best not to cause trouble. Yu Feng shook his head. We'll let them go for now, but we won't let this go just like that. We need to find out who they are first. No problem. Song Ming nodded. Yu Feng and the others were talking with their backs turned, so no one could hear them. Because of the angle they were at, they weren't worried that Lin Yi could read their lips. But although Lin Yi didn't hear what they were saying, he knew that they were up to no good just by looking at how they were mumbling. He tightened his guard. The second class in the afternoon was physical education. Although some of the subjects were cancelled for the third year of high school, physical education was still maintained. First, it was to give the students a chance to exercise their bodies. Second, it was because Songshan City's high school entrance exam would be added to the physical education test. If they didn't pass, it would affect the exam. The additional PE test was a selective one, such as running, long jump, basketball, chin-ups and sit-ups. The requirements for boys and girls were different as well. So, in order to get a good result in the PE test, the 12th year's PE class became a targeted training. It was just that in the summer boys and girls didn't wear many clothes, and many girls wore skirts, so it was easier for them to be exposed. So, the PE class was separated for boys and girls, 1 week for girls. The girls were in the gymnasium and there was a female PE teacher to guide them, so they didn't have to hide anything. Many girls would just take off their jackets when it was hot, and they'd just wear a tank top to train. Chapter 1025. Who's afraid? Just then Yushu walked over and looked at Xiao Xiao. Oh, Miss Dumb, do you want to go to the gym and have a showdown with me? You're the dumb girl. Xiao Xiao humphed. Let's go, I'm not afraid of you. Xiao Xiao and Yushu hadn't decided who was stronger yesterday, and now that there was a chance, Xiao Xiao wouldn't let it go. Naturally, she didn't know that Yushu was the one who approached her. Mengyao and Yushu had already discussed it, agreeing to Lin Yi dating Xiao Xiao at the last stage of her life. But if things went according to yesterday's situation, there would be some conflict, and if things changed all of a sudden, Xiao Xiao would be suspicious. So, Mengyao told Yushu to think of a way to get closer to Xiao Xiao. At the very least, they wouldn't be so out of place in the future. Lin Yi, here's your phone. Help me take care of it. Xiao Xiao gave the phone to Lin Yi. Phones weren't allowed in the gymnasium. One reason was that it would affect training, and the other was that people with bad intentions might take pictures of students with their phones. That would be a problem. And so, there were electronic detectors at the entrance of the gymnasium, and as time went by, no one brought their phones in anymore. They didn't feel safe leaving their phone in the box at the entrance, afraid that someone might take it away. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and took Xiao Xiao's phone, watching her and Yushu leave the classroom. A smile appeared on Lin Yi's lips. It seemed that Yushu had made her move. With Shu's methods, these two devils would probably be playing together soon. Lin Yi's guess was correct. Yushu was indeed making her move. She was planning to become Xiao Xiao's rival first, and then occasionally work together to mess with her. Their relationship would definitely grow stronger. Lin Yi's previous phone was broken by Ma Zhu, so he was using a phone that was similar to Shu's flip phone, but it had fewer functions. The system wasn't smart and there wasn't much to play in the games. This class was a physical education class for the girls, but it was a self-study class for the boys. They could read in the classroom and of course no one would stop them if they wanted to go to the field to play. However, Year 3 students were more or less self-conscious. Who would want to play when the college entrance examination was coming up? Besides, even if he went to play, who would he play with? Could it be that he was playing by himself? Although Lin Yi would listen attentively in class, he would not review after class. After Xiao Xiao left, Lin Yi played with Xiao Xiao's phone casually, pulling out Plants vs. Zombies and playing it out of boredom. Boss, you're with Xiao Xiao? Kang Xiaobo waited until all the girls were gone before turning around and asking with shifty eyes. What do you mean by, with? It sounds so bad, Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Haha, I heard you guys whispering in class. I think Xiao Xiao even asked you to touch her chest? Xiaobo said with a chuckle. Lin Yi was speechless. Did Kang Xiaobo hear that? But Lin Yi could only explain, I didn't touch her just now. You know how she is, she dares to say anything. Oh. Kang Xiaobo nodded. I know you didn't touch her, but you guys are developing pretty fast, aren't you? Plus, I saw her with Tang Yun this afternoon. Yeah, Lin Yi nodded. No way she's that close with Tang Yun? Tang Yun agreed to your relationship with Xiao Xiao? Kang Xiaobo's eyes widened in shock. He had guessed that Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao were getting along peacefully, since they were talking and laughing when he saw them at noon. They didn't look like enemies at all. But hearing Lin Yi's confirmation, Kang Xiaobo gave him a thumbs up. Boss, you're amazing. Too awesome. I admire you so much. You're a master amongst masters at picking up girls. Sweat. Lin Yi sweated. Tang Yun actually accepted Xiao Xiao first and then she asked me to accept her. You're getting it backwards. What? Kang Xiaobo almost rolled his eyes at Lin Yi's words. Tang Yun accepted her first? That's why Lin Yi accepted her? Are you kidding me? How is that possible? Tang Yun helped Lin Yi find a mistress? Alright, it's a bit complicated. I'll tell you in detail later. Lin Yi didn't want to hide Xiao Xiao's condition from Kang Xiaobo. Only when Kang Xiaobo understood everything would he be able to cooperate with him. What is it? Tell me now. Kang Xiaobo was curious. Sure. Lin Yi nodded. Let's go for a walk then. Kang Xiaobo stood up with Lin Yi and the two left the classroom heading downstairs. Yufeng, Songming and Penghu on the other hand, were whispering to each other, plotting something. Master Xie, I heard that girls don't wear much in PE class, and some of them are revealing. Songming said softly. Oh. Yufeng was interested. Really? Of course it's true. Think about it, it's summer now and the gym is hot. You'd be sweating when you exercise and then… Ah. Song Ming said with a perverted smile. Then wouldn't there be a lot of peeping? You just transferred here and you already know about it. How could the people who used to study here not know about it? Yu Feng didn't really believe it. Of course they know, but the gym's windows are really high and the shortest is at least 3 meters. Who can even look up there? Song Ming smiled. Only a master like you can fly up there. But that's not a good idea, right? What if someone sees it? Yu Feng hesitated. Although peeping was very exciting, he couldn't afford to lose his reputation. Especially when he wanted to pick up girls in school. He might feel good after peeping for a while, but if he was discovered, his reputation would go down the drain. Behind the gym is the mountain behind the school. Who would see it? Song Ming smiled. I've already scouted the area. You've planned this all along, huh? Yu Feng nodded after hearing that the back of the gym was facing the mountain behind the school. That's right, I've already thought about it. I'll use the camera to take pictures of Xiao Xiao and the others and use it to threaten them. If they don't listen to Master Xia, I'll expose them. Let's see how shameless they are. Chapter 1026. Fight to the death. Alright, we'll go now. Is the camera ready? Yu Feng asked. Phones won't be able to record clearly. Of course it's a new product, 60x optical zoom. I just bought it. Song Ming took out a small camcorder from his bag and smiled at Yu Feng. What do you think? Not bad, right? I heard you can even use it to shoot AV. Oh, it looks pretty good. Yu Feng took it and played with it before giving it back to Song Ming. Let's go, we'll go peep. The three walked out of the classroom, and Yu Feng suddenly remembered that Lin Yi had left the classroom as well. Lin Yi wouldn't be peeping too, would he? It's possible. Song Ming nodded. Why else would he go out? Don't let him see us. Yu Feng frowned. It'd be better if he sees us. We'll use the camera to record him, and when the thief calls the thief, we'll expose him to the world. Let's see if he'll lose his reputation. Wang Songming smiled disapprovingly. He was a rather insidious person and he could always think of some dirty tricks. That's a good idea, killing without leaving a trace. Lin Yi, let's see if he's good with women. We'll expose him for peeping on girls in PE class. Yu Feng nodded in approval. Lin Yi naturally didn't know that Yu Feng was already thinking of him as a pervert. Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo were sitting on a flower bed in the school field, talking. Boss, does that mean Xiao Xiao is really going to die? She has a terminal illness and even you can't do anything about it? Kang Xiaobo's eyes went wide after hearing Lin Yi's explanation. He never would have thought that the energetic Xiao Xiao was someone who was about to die. I can't do anything about it either. Lin Yi shook his head helplessly. My medical skills aren't omnipotent. It's limited to the known illnesses, but for the unknown, I can't do anything about it. I said it before, I can't find anything in Xiao Xiao's body. How am I supposed to cure her? That's true. We don't even know what illness she has, so how can we cure it? Kang Xiaobo sighed. She's so pitiful, even the heavens are jealous of her beauty. Yeah, I thought she had an ulterior motive when she approached me, but it doesn't matter now. She's willing to let me teach her how to race or anything else. She only has less than a year left to live, and I'll try my best to satisfy her wishes. Lin Yi had thought things through as well. If Xiao Xiao liked racing, then he'd do his best to satisfy her wishes, but this racing couldn't be done on normal roads. It was too dangerous. Lin Yi decided to bring Xiao Xiao to a race and let her experience what it was like to race. Boss, actually, Xiao Xiao told me a couple of times about you before, but I didn't tell you. Kang Xiaobo decided to be honest with Lin Yi after some hesitation. Oh. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes as he smiled at Kang Xiaobo. Kang Xiaobo was a little embarrassed from Lin Yi's stare. He coughed dryly. Boss, actually, Xiao Xiao told me that she likes you and wants to pursue you. I saw how pitiful she was and my heart softened. I told her how to pursue you. Oh. Lin Yi smiled. I told her that you're a good person, boss, and you can be persuaded but not cowed. If she goes against you, then there's no hope, but if she goes along with you, then there's still hope. Kang Xiaobo said, embarrassed. It's nothing. Lin Yi nodded. Kang Xiaobo's words weren't anything confidential, but as one of Lin Yi's most trusted people, Lin Yi still reminded him. Xiaobo, you mean well, but don't say these things again. You need to learn how to keep it a secret. I know, boss. I regretted it a few days after I said it. Kang Xiaobo smiled bitterly. I read some books about business and management, and they all mention the importance of business secrets. But now that I said it, I'm relieved. Haha, this isn't considered a business secret. Lin Yi waved his hand. But if you see a girl who likes me and asks her to chase me, I can't stand it. This kind of good thing, why doesn't it happen to me? Kang Xiaobo also smiled. Alright boss, the product launch at the beginning of next month. Boss Lai also asked me to attend, but I think I'm still in the internship stage. It's not suitable for me to walk on the stage, right? What's not suitable about it? There will be more occasions like this in the future. There will be a process of adaptation, Linny said. When the time comes, just follow Fatty Lai and watch more. Okay boss. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Let's go, we'll just walk around. Linny sat for a while and felt that the sun was a little hot, so he stood up. Kang Xiaobo had decided to work hard on his business, so the college entrance exams weren't that important anymore. He just needed to spend money to get into a university. He didn't need to be too serious. Studying hard for more than 10 years was just to have a good future, and now that Kang Xiaobo had a bright future, he wouldn't put the cart before the horse. Looking at the familiar campus, Kang Xiaobo felt a little emotional. 2 months ago he was just a normal student, but after meeting Linny, everything changed. He became the vice president of a company, and he even found a beautiful girlfriend. Although her leg was a little lame with Linny around, it wouldn't be a problem if it was cured. In the school gymnasium, Xiao Xiao and Yushu were ready for a fight to the death. The two were at the starting line, their eyes wide open as they glared at each other. I told you couldn't do it, you threw the medicine ball so close. You almost hit your own foot. Yushu said proudly. I finally know what it means to shoot yourself in the foot. You're fat, that's why you're stronger than me. Xiao Xiao wasn't happy. She had never practiced medicine ball before, either skipping classes or going to the doctor in school. She didn't have time to study medicine ball. So naturally she lost to Yushu the first time she threw it. Chapter 1027. Chapter 1025, Successful Counterattack. Shu, how could you say something so rude? Mengyao, who was standing beside Yushu, glared at her when she heard what Yushu said. Yao Yao, I got it. Yushu stuck her tongue out. Xiao Xiao's heart was about to explode as she glared at Yushu. I'll beat you in sprinting for sure. Those 2 balls in front of your chest are just a burden. You'll die from running later. Cut them off if you want to win. I think you're just jealous. Yushu didn't mind at all. Don't you see that your Yun sis is starting to get her breasts enlarged? You're too flat, Shield Bro doesn't like the small ones. Mengyao on the other hand frowned. Linny didn't like the little ones? Should she get her breasts enlarged as well? Even Tang Yun was starting to get her breasts enlarged, she couldn't fall behind. The miss had never thought about getting her breasts enlarged before. After all, she'd always lived in a world where she was the center, and she only had Shu as a friend. She didn't need to get her breasts enlarged for anyone, and she didn't care if a man liked her breasts or not, but now, Mengyao realized that she was starting to care about these things. Yes, it wasn't that she cared, it was that she'd grown up and loved to look pretty. Mengyao found an excuse for herself. That's right, she loved to look pretty when she'd grown up. Who said that? Linny touched it and he said it was good, it felt good, he really liked touching it. Xiao Xiao said furiously. Touched you? When? Yushu blinked. A while ago in Yanjing I was sitting next to him at the auction. Xiao Xiao said logically, wanting Yushu to know that she wasn't making it up. Oh, so it's only once? Yushu breathed out in relief, giggling. Shield Bro always touched me when he was at home a couple times already. Bullshit. Xiao Xiao said with a smile on her face. She saw the PE teacher raise the flag in his hand, getting ready to run. You're the one who's bullshitting. Yushu was about to retort when she realized something was wrong. Xiao Xiao was already gone. Sister Yao Yao and the others also started to run. Haha, big idiot Shu, I'm going first. Xiao Xiao was dancing around happily. I'm going to win for sure this time. Wait for me, you're cheating. Yushu started running, chasing after Xiao Xiao, but this was a 100-meter dash and Xiao Xiao was already so far away. How was Yushu going to catch up? In order to run faster, Yushu put her hands on her chest as she ran, but by the time she reached the finish line, Xiao Xiao was already a few seconds away. Ha ha ha. Xiao Xiao was on the verge of tears. Ha ha. I won. Xiao Xiao Xiao, why don't you laugh yourself to death? No wonder you're called Xiao Xiao. Yushu was pissed. I wouldn't have lost if you hadn't cheated. What do you mean cheated? The teacher waved the flag and I started running. What kind of cheated is that? You didn't see it yourself and you're saying I cheated? You're just a little bit of a renege on society. Xiao Xiao finally countered Yushu's shamelessness perfectly. Yushu didn't expect this Xiao Xiao to be this strong as well. She couldn't get the upper hand at all when fighting her, and the two of them were evenly matched right now. Ah, I'm dying of laughter. Xiao Xiao didn't stop laughing, but after 2 laughs she stopped abruptly, clutching her stomach as she crouched down in pain. Yushu looked at Xiao Xiao confused. What's wrong? I just ran and I'm laughing so hard it hurts. Xiao Xiao said weakly as she crouched on the ground. Ah. Yushu's eyes went wide, almost bursting out in laughter. What did it mean to have extreme joy turn to sorrow? This was it. She was a living example. But remembering Xiao Xiao's pitiful life, Yushu couldn't laugh anymore. She crouched down and pulled Xiao Xiao up. Let's go, I'll help you to the chair over there to rest. The PE teacher noticed something was wrong and walked over, asking what was going on. Meng Yao stayed behind to explain, telling the teacher that Xiao Xiao was just choking, and the teacher let out a sigh of relief before leaving. If something were to happen to the student, the PE teacher would be held responsible as well. Xiao Xiao looked at Yushu shocked. The two were enemies and she didn't believe that Yushu would be so nice as to help her to rest. You're really going to help me to rest? Xiao Xiao looked at Yushu in disbelief. Oh. Yushu's brain spun furiously. She was indeed acting a little out of the ordinary. Logically speaking, she should be pointing at Xiao Xiao and laughing when she saw her pained face, but Yushu really couldn't laugh at all. However, she finally thought of a reasonable reason and said, I'm evenly matched. Naturally, I won't let you die so quickly. I, little Shu, am a very upright person. I never take advantage of others. So, let's wait for you to rest first, then we'll compete again. It's a tie now. Haha, I see. Xiao Xiao nodded after hearing Yushu's explanation. You're not a bad person. If you didn't fight with me over Lin Yi, we'd be playing together. Yeah, I think so too, Yushu nodded. The two sat on the chairs at the side of the gym and rested. After resting for a while, Xiao Xiao felt more or less recovered, but she didn't dare do any more strenuous exercises. I'm afraid I can't fight you today. I'm still feeling a little uncomfortable, and I'm afraid I'll have a chest ache again. It's fine, we'll fight with words if we can't fight. Yushu said nonchalantly. Fight with words? Xiao Xiao blinked. Fight with pranks, see who's better at pranking. Yushu said. That's a good idea. But who are we pranking? I'll say this first, I'm not going to prank Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao's butt hurt just thinking about pranking Lin Yi. Plus, she didn't want to prank Lin Yi right now. Oh, you can't prank Shield bro, he's too strong. Only an idiot would prank him. Yushu shook her head and looked at Xiao Xiao, smiling evilly. Chapter 1028. Chapter 1026. The prankster duo in action. Nothing. Yushu looked up at the sky, as if saying she didn't know anything and didn't need to ask her anything. But all of a sudden Yushu let out a yelp. What's wrong? Xiao Xiao was curious. Look at the window above us. Yushu pointed at the top of her head with a weird look on her face. What's wrong with the window? Xiao Xiao raised her head, confused, but what she saw gave her a big fright. There was a person lying on the ground outside the window. But there was a security net outside the window so people couldn't stick their heads in from the outside. Xie Yufeng? Xiao Xiao recognized the person on the window. It was the new transfer student from yesterday. She couldn't help but get a little annoyed. This guy looks like a dog, but why's he so perverted? Peeking at girls training? Yeah, but we found him. Yushu's face lit up with excitement. Xiao Xiao nodded, understanding Yushu's gaze. The two didn't need to talk much and they were already making their way to the gym's warehouse. The gym teacher didn't lock the door when he opened the warehouse to take out the medicine balls and other training equipment, since they still had to put them back after class. There was no way the teacher would think that someone would go into the warehouse during class. Yushu and Xiao Xiao went into the storehouse to look for tools to mess with people. The gymnasium storehouse was really big and there were a lot of things. Other than sports training equipment, there were also sports clothes and school security uniforms. Haha. Yushu pulled out a couple of ice skates and nail shoes from a rack, smiling. Xiao Xiao looked at the weapons in Yushu's hands, her lips curling up slightly. You want them to fall and sit on it? Yeah, but how do we make them fall down? Yushu nodded, troubled as well. Xiao Xiao's eyes scanned the warehouse before landing on something. She quickly ran over and picked it up, waving her hand happily. Leave this to me, I'll let them have a taste of the stun baton. There was a stun baton in Xiao Xiao's hands. These were used by the school's security guards when they patrolled the school at night. Naturally, there were extra ones just like the security guards' uniforms which were kept in the warehouse. Then we'll split up. Yushu felt that this Xiao Xiao was a match made in the first place. Yufeng and the others were dead for sure. No problem. Xiao Xiao raised her right hand. Yushu raised her hand and high-fived Xiao Xiao. Let's celebrate a big victory. After I set up the trap, I'll meow like a cat under the adjacent window. Then you'll shock them down. With that, Yushu ran out of the gymnasium with a bunch of nail shoes and ice skates. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, took the electric baton and went to the window next to Yufeng's. This was a blind spot, and if Yufeng didn't intentionally look down, he wouldn't be able to see the people on the seats. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was sitting next to the window and it was even harder to see. Yufeng, Penghu, and Songming all climbed up the wire mesh on top of the window. The mesh was a bit high, but with the help of Yufeng's qi, Penghu and Songming were easily pulled up. Did you find her? How come I don't see Xiao Xiao? Yufeng looked outside the window for a long time, but he didn't see Xiao Xiao anywhere. He mumbled to himself, "This girl isn't skipping class, is she? Yeah, I don't see her either, but I see Meng Yao. She's wearing shorts and she didn't take off her shirt, so there's nothing to see." Songming said regretfully. "I don't see that big tits Yushu either." Penghu said pervertedly. "Every time I think of her breasts, I can't sleep." Yushu had just walked under the tree when she heard Penghu talking bad about her. She was pissed. Her breasts were for shield bro, and he dared to fantasize about her? "If I'll leave this ice skate to you. You better sit on your balls." Yushu lined up the ice skate and nail shoes in the path of the three's fall, and she snuck under the wall next to the window. This way the three wouldn't be able to see her from their angle. After doing all this, Yushu pinched her nose and meowed like a cat. Meow. The cat's meow gave the three of them a scare. Yufeng was a mystic, but in order to hide his identity, he didn't dare use his qi casually. He only used a bit of qi when he went up the wire, and the rest was suppressed inside his body. Who knew when Linny would show up? He saw Linny come out of the class. What if Linny came here? So naturally he didn't notice Yushu coming over. "What's that sound?" Yufeng frowned. "Sounds like a cat, it's fine." Songming shook his head. "Yeah, it's a cat and it's a female cat in heat." Penghu added. "Oh." Yufeng nodded and continued peeping. Yushu was pissed. "Your mother is the female cat in heat. You'll get it later." In the gymnasium, Xiao Xiao heard Yushu's signal and quickly climbed up the back of the seat to the edge of the window. Since there were seats to support her feet, and the inside of the gymnasium was higher than the outside, it was easy for her to climb up to the window. Xiao Xiao grinned and turned on the electric baton, stabbing it into the barbed wire. The wires outside the window were all interconnected, and so when Xiao Xiao touched them with the baton, Yufeng, Songming and Penghu cried out in pain, shivering as they fell off the wire. But the moment he landed, he saw the spiked shoes and ice skates and he jumped in fright. If he sat on them, he'd get an anal fistula. Yufeng jumped in fright. He subconsciously wanted to use his qi to protect himself and jump away. That would push Songming and Penghu away. "Ichem? Isn't this Yufeng? Are you a trapeze artist?" Chapter 1029. Tragedy struck again. Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo finished their conversation and walked around the field. He suddenly remembered the tree he planted a while ago, wondering how it was doing. He decided to go to the back hill with Kang Xiaobo when he saw Yushu setting up a trap. But Lin Yi didn't say anything. He wanted to see how Yufeng would take the bait after Yushu was done. Logically speaking, with Xie Yufeng's skills, even if he saw the spiked shoes and ice skates, he would be able to jump away. It wouldn't pose any threat to him. The next moment, Lin Yi saw Yushu hiding in a corner and meowing like a cat. Not long after, Yufeng and the other two cried out as if they were hit by something and fell from the wire. Lin Yi took a closer look and saw Xiao Xiao on the other side of the window, covering her mouth as she giggled. Lin Yi suddenly felt a chill. These two girls were too bad. This Xie Yufeng was really unlucky to have met these two. However, Lin Yi noticed that Xie Yufeng was using qi to protect himself, so Lin Yi came out. He knew that Yufeng was purposely hiding his true strength in front of him, but he didn't mind letting Yufeng have a taste of his own medicine. As expected, the moment Lin Yi opened his mouth, Yufeng dispersed his qi. Yufeng subconsciously dispersed his qi, but after doing so, he suddenly remembered that he had spikes and ice skates on his butt. This was not a joke. If he were to be pricked, would it be any better? Even if his strength was discovered by Lin Yi, he couldn't just watch as he sat on a nail shoe. That was undoubtedly equivalent to courting death. But by the time he realized this, it was already too late. By the time he wanted to circulate his true qi again, it was already too late. He directly sat down on the nail shoe and let out another miserable howl. Penghu and Songming weren't any better. Penghu was fatter, and when he sat on the ice skate cut right between his buttocks and directly cut his balls. His eyes rolled back in pain and his body twitched as he fainted. Although Wang Songming's eggs weren't cut, his buttocks were cut into 4 pieces. He was in excruciating pain. Yufeng realized tragically that his anus was prolapsed. Oh! Yushu clapped happily, not expecting Lin Yi to show up. She ran to Lin Yi with a smile. "Shield bro, you're here." They're performing SM. Yufeng heard Yushu's words and almost fainted as well. Performing SM? What kind of performance was that? Was there something wrong with his brain? But he knew that what he was doing couldn't be seen in the light of day. If someone found out that he was peeping, then his reputation in school would be ruined, and he wouldn't be able to chase girls anymore. With that thought, Yufeng gritted his teeth and stood up, enduring the pain. He was truly a cultivator and his endurance was pretty strong. Kicking the unconsciously Penghu, he pulled the howling Wang Tsongming and cursed, "Get up and go to the hospital if you don't want to die." Penghu's balls were cut, but Yufeng's kick woke him up. And so, he got up from the ground and ran to the hospital with Yufeng and Tsongming. Xiao Xiao on the other hand saw Lin Yi from the window. She put the electric baton back into the storage and ran out of the gym as well. This scene was not discovered by the teachers and students who were training over there. After all, they were training in full swing over there and they were all shouting slogans. Compared to them, the movements here were much quieter. "Lin Yi, why are you here?" Xiao Xiao saw Yushu and Lin Yi talking, not wanting to be outdone. "You too." Lin Yi smiled bitterly, "Aren't you a little too much?" "Oh shield bro, who do you think is more violent?" Yushu asked. With that, she looked at Lin Yi expectantly and so did Xiao Xiao. She and Yushu were tied before, so Lin Yi's evaluation was quite important. Of course, even if it wasn't a tie before, Lin Yi's evaluation was still very important, because they wanted Lin Yi's approval the most. "I think you two need to be together to bring out your full potential," Lin Yi said. "Oh, I see." Yushu frowned after hearing Lin Yi's words. She thought about it and forced herself to say to Xiao Xiao, "Since Shield Bro likes our combo, I'll force myself to team up with you once in a while." "Force yourself?" Xiao Xiao curled her lips in disdain. "I'm the one who's taking care of Lin Yi's face by teaming up with you. But if you provoke me again, I'll break up with you and go solo." "I can't provoke you, but you can't provoke me first either," Yushu said after some thought. "How about this, whoever provokes me first gives up." "You're just a small wife. Why would I care if you don't provoke me first?" "I'm a small wife, it's not like you'll affect me," Xiao Xiao said. "That's true." Yushu nodded. "No matter how you fight, you're still the small wife. Let Yao Yao go fight for the big wife." Lin Yi smiled faintly, knowing that Yushu was trying to be nice. If Yushu hadn't lowered her head first, Xiao Xiao wouldn't have lowered her head so easily. But the result was good, the two weren't enemies anymore. They might not be that close right away, but they'd get along better after some time. After all, these two had something in common. They could work together to mess with each other. "Alright, class isn't over yet. Hurry up and bring the spiked shoes back to the gymnasium, don't let anyone find out." Lin Yi pointed at the bloodied shoes and ice skates on the ground. "Okay." Yushu picked up the shoe and Xiao Xiao reached out to help as well, and the two of them carried the things back silently. Kang Xiaobo on the other hand didn't say anything. He knew he couldn't say anything right now, so he just watched quietly until Xiao Xiao and Yushu left. He sighed, "That Xie Yufeng sure is unlucky getting his ass kicked. Thank goodness you were able to tame these two devils, boss. Otherwise, how are we supposed to live in the future?" Lin Yi smiled. It was true, Yushu and Xiao Xiao were devils in front of outsiders, but they were very gentle to him. Chapter 1030. Chapter 1028, Xiao Xiao's Wish Camcorder? Kang Xiaobo picked it up and looked at it. It was a small video recorder. "They're not trying to take pictures, are they?" Lin Yi shrugged. "Let's see if there's a video and delete it." Kang Xiaobo pulled up the video and saw that it was indeed from the gymnasium. A group of girls were training and some of the girls were wearing very little. But Mengyao and Yushu weren't there. Kang Xiaobo took a quick look and deleted the video. He was a pervert, but he wouldn't look at immoral things like this. "Boss, what do we do with this camcorder?" Kang Xiaobo asked. "You take it back and play with it. You don't want to give it back to Yufeng, do you?" Lin Yi didn't even think about giving it back. "Well, that's fine. I'll give it to Fun to play with." Kang Xiaobo put the camcorder away happily. After this incident, Lin Yi didn't want to stay in the school anymore. He turned to Kang Xiaobo. "Let's go back to class." Kang Xiaobo wanted to go back and study the camcorder as well so that he could take a selfie with Fin. He didn't have anything with Fin yet, but it was a good idea. Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo went back to the classroom, but Yufeng and the other two weren't back yet. Their seats were empty, evidently at the hospital. But Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with them. Since they wanted to hide their strength, then go hide it. Yushu and Xiao Xiao would mess with them every day until they died. Let's see how long they could take it. Xiaobo went off to figure out how to operate the camcorder, while Lin Yi went back to the game he was playing earlier. After playing for a while, Lin Yi felt bored and exited the game to see if there was anything else on his phone. Linny was just casually looking through the phone, but he accidentally entered a notepad software. There was a file called My Wish. Originally, when Linny saw that it was a private folder, he was ready to push it out immediately after entering. However, when he saw the file called My Wish, Linny hesitated. Linny was very clear about Xiao Xiao's situation. She only had 1 year left at most, and that was the most optimistic scenario. To put it in a sad way, Xiao Xiao might die tomorrow, and so, Linny cared a lot about Xiao Xiao's dying wish. If it was possible, Linny wanted to make it come true for Xiao Xiao. This would allow Xiao Xiao to live a life without regrets. But just when Linny was about to look at the file named My Wish, the bell rang at an untimely time. Linny frowned. There was some distance between the gym and the school building, but Xiao Xiao would be back in a few minutes. With that thought, Linny didn't hesitate any longer. He opened the file called My Wish, and looked at the contents. After opening it, Linny realized that this My Wish document wasn't completed in one day. It was divided into many pages. Each page only had one wish and the date of the wish. If the wish was fulfilled, Xiao Xiao would mark it as fulfilled on the index page. If it wasn't fulfilled, there was no mark. Linny smiled bitterly. If it was all written on one page, Linny might be able to finish it in a few minutes, but if he had to go through it page by page, he might not be able to finish it today. But there was physical education every week, and Linny wasn't in a rush to finish it all in one day. He'd read as much as he could today, and pick the easier ones to help Xiao Xiao first. Linny opened the link with the earliest date on the index page and started reading. Can my illness really be cured? I'm going to Yinjing's hospital with Dad tomorrow. I heard it's a hospital that specializes in hereditary diseases. I'm so nervous, I hope this hospital can cure me. Looking at Xiao Xiao's wish, Linny was a little speechless. If her illness could be cured, why would Linny go through all that trouble to fulfill her wish? This Xiao Xiao's wish was really? But looking at the date, Linny shook his head and smiled bitterly. This wish was written 3 years ago and Xiao Xiao was probably still fantasizing about her illness at that time? But was this phone Xiao Xiao was using 3 years ago? But thinking about it, Xiao Xiao must have imported it after she changed her phone. Linny closed this wish and looked at the second day's wish. Compared to the first wish, the second one was more normal. I want a sports car. This was a wish he'd written 3 years ago as well, but there was a note at the end that said it had been fulfilled. He didn't have time to look at the ones he'd already fulfilled, so he quickly exited and started looking for the ones that hadn't been fulfilled yet. But in this document, most of the wishes were fulfilled. Linny finally found one that wasn't marked fulfilled, and opened it. I really want a best friend. I can talk to her about the loneliness in my heart, I can share my happiness and sadness with her on the same bed. But I'm destined to never have a true friend. I don't want my best friend to feel pain because of my death. Looking at Xiao Xiao's wish, Linny couldn't help but take in a deep breath. His heart was heavy. From the tone of this wish, Xiao Xiao must have known that her illness was incurable. That was why she was feeling this way. Perhaps she had lost all hope of curing her illness. She had a friend, a bosom friend. In the eyes of a normal girl, this seemed like a simple thing. Who didn't have a few true friends growing up? Which girl hadn't slept on the same bed with their best friend? But this simple thing was a dream in Xiao Xiao's eyes. And her kindness, not wanting her death to bring pain to her friends, touched Linny deeply. But this wish wasn't something Linny could fulfill. He couldn't be a best friend. He couldn't just castrate himself, could he? But he could suggest Tang Yun and Shu to be Xiao Xiao's best friends. It wasn't a bad choice. Linny quickly took a picture of the wish with his phone, not daring to waste any more time as he opened the other wish that wasn't marked, already fulfilled, and started reading it. Chapter 1031. Chapter 1029, A Shocking Wish. This was a wish that Linny could consider helping Xiao Xiao. It wasn't too much to ask and Linny could do it too. It was only now that Linny understood that Xiao Xiao wasn't a rebellious girl who liked racing. She had the dream of being a racer. Yes, everyone had a dream when they were young. But as they grew older, these dreams would slowly fade away. What was his dream back then? A farmer? A spring? A little field? Yes, Linny's dream was very simple. When he was with his old man, Linny didn't think that he would become an assassin in the future, nor did he think about what kind of life he would have in the future. He thought that he would be the same as the other kids from the countryside, like Herr Gooden, farming with him to support the family. But after Linny grew up, he started doing all sorts of simple and complicated missions. Linny didn't know what his dream was anymore. These days of wandering were his life, and when he was free he would chat with Herr Gooden in his old home. It was the most relaxing time of his life. As time went on he grew up and so did Herr Gooden. His fate changed with his old man and he was destined to never be a farmer, and Erguden's fate changed because of him as well. He was destined to never be a normal farmer. He had to be a farmer in his old home. Thinking of Erguden, Linny started to miss him. He hadn't seen him in a while, and he wondered if he was done with the spring plowing? He should be done, right? He needed to find some time to call him and ask him to come to Songshan. And so, other than his childhood, Linny's life right now was the most relaxing he'd ever had. He had food, he had beauties, and while it was dangerous, Linny enjoyed it. But even so, Linny still felt that his life was better than Xiao Xiao's. His life was uncertain, but he had a friend, Erguden. Guden was a bit rash and reckless, but Linny liked him. At the very least, he was a straightforward person. Whatever Linny said to him, he would only chuckle and would never spread it out. So Linny didn't hide anything from Guden, and Guden was a loyal listener. Shaking his head, Linny suddenly remembered that he didn't have much time left. Class had ended, and he was looking at Xiao Xiao's wish when he got distracted. Linny didn't dare waste any time. He quickly took a photo of Xiao Xiao's wish and closed it to read the next one. I also want to be in a relationship and have a boyfriend who cares and cares for me. I'm so envious of other people under the moonlight. But I can't hurt others. If I die, my lover will be sad. However, this wish was divided into two. The first was written 2 years ago, and below this wish there was another annotation. But the date was the most recent. I've decided I want to be in a relationship with Linny, who told him to pee on me and set off firecrackers on my butt. I want revenge. I want him to fall in love with me, and then I'll die in front of him. Xiao Xiao, you have to work hard. Linny sweated as he looked at the message. No way. He'd felt that something was wrong with Xiao Xiao before, going from hostility to liking him. Wasn't that a little too fast? He looked at the date. It was the day Xiao Xiao changed her attitude towards him, but there was another annotation below this one, and Linny couldn't help but sigh. Is this what love feels like? So nice, I hope I can live forever. This comment was dated last night, and looking at it, Linny's heart was heavy. The meaning of this comment was clear, and that was that Xiao Xiao's revenge mentality had changed. She wanted to live forever. What revenge was there to talk about? Linny smiled bitterly. It seemed that Xiao Xiao had made it real. But this was a wish that was being fulfilled, and it was almost done. Linny didn't need to worry about it anymore. No matter what Xiao Xiao's motive for liking him was, Linny could understand and tolerate it. Thinking about Xiao Xiao's background and personality, Linny didn't blame her for going too far back then. Think about it, if it were Yushu, she'd go crazy even if someone peed on her head, let alone set off firecrackers on her, but wouldn't she? Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, used a self-destructive strategy to get into a relationship with Lin Yi, wanting Lin Yi to lose her after falling in love with her. This wasn't revenge at all, but an indulgence for the last moments of her life. Lin Yi closed this wish and went on to the next one. I saw a TV show today. The main male and female characters were watching the sunrise together, cooking breakfast with seawater. It's so romantic. I wanna eat poached eggs. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao's weird wish and couldn't help but find it funny. Poached eggs? Eating poached eggs while watching the sunrise? Why didn't it match? But since it was Xiao Xiao's wish, Lin Yi still took a picture with his phone. After all, this wish was easier to fulfill. There wasn't much time left, and Lin Yi closed this wish and quickly read the next one. Su Shirhan is so pretty. If only I were a guy, I'd be able to push her down. Lin Yi opened Xiao Xiao's wish and was exhausted. Lin Yi didn't seem to be able to fulfill this wish. He couldn't just give her a sex change operation, could he? But that was only the first half of the sentence. There was more, and Lin Yi kept reading. I've decided I'll give this difficult mission to my boyfriend, let him push her down, and then we'll do 3P. Ah, Xiao Xiao, you're a super genius. But it seems like a daydream? Lin Yi almost threw Xiao Xiao's phone away after reading the last half. Wasn't this too cruel? Lin Yi was getting more and more convinced that if Xiao Xiao hadn't died, she would have been able to play with Yushu for sure. From a certain perspective, the two had a lot in common, and their way of thinking was equally shocking. Chapter 1032. Wish fulfilled. After reading this wish, Lin Yi closed it and was about to read the other wishes when Lin Yi saw that the girls in his class were starting to enter the classroom. That Feng Xiao Xiao should be one step ahead and one step behind. Lin Yi quickly exited his phone and opened up the game. Xiao Xiao and Yushu walked into the classroom together, and the two were talking and joking as if the conflict from before had disappeared. But it was obvious that the two weren't that close yet. It was impossible for them to become close in one day. Xiao Xiao walked over to Lin Yi and sat down. She saw Lin Yi playing with her phone, so she asked curiously, "What are you doing?" "Playing a game." Lin Yi acted like he just saw Xiao Xiao and put the phone on the table. You're back. Yeah, I'm back. Xiao Xiao picked up the phone and looked at the game on the screen. Do you still want to play? No, Lin Yi shook his head. This phone isn't bad, I'll go buy one in a couple of days. Then you buy mine too, will be a couple's phone. Xiao Xiao closed the game on her phone and put it in her pocket, not even thinking that Lin Yi had already seen the wish in it. Yeah. Lin Yi answered casually. Lin Yi's quick answer stunned Xiao Xiao. She didn't think that Lin Yi would agree to her suggestion so easily. If it were before, Lin Yi would have rejected her right away, right? Then we'll go buy one after school? Xiao Xiao asked excitedly. We'll see, Lin Yi shook his head. The phone shops are all closed after school, let's wait until the weekend. Sure. Xiao Xiao heard the first half of the sentence and thought that he was just brushing her off again, but the second half told her that it wasn't the case. She was happy once more. Xiao Xiao, why do you always want to learn how to race with me? Lin Yi brought the topic to Xiao Xiao's wish. Lin Yi used to think that Xiao Xiao was just messing around, ignoring the fact that it was her dream to be a racer. Because I'm interested in cars. After watching Fast and Furious, I wanted to be a racer. Xiao Xiao didn't hide it and smiled, but I know that's impossible. My skills are just SOSO, who would let me race? Oh, I see. Lin Yi nodded. I thought you were just messing around. If you really want to be a racer, I can teach you. Really? Xiao Xiao's eyes went wide. Happiness came too abruptly and she wasn't prepared for it. Good things kept happening these 2 days and Xiao Xiao didn't know how to react. She felt like she was dreaming, it was too surreal. Of course it's true, I never lied to you when I promised you something. Lin Yi smiled. Ugh. Xiao Xiao was so excited she couldn't speak, but after the excitement passed she sighed. Man, forget it, I don't think I'll learn it. You can't learn how to drive in a short time, you need constant training. I don't have that much patience. Xiao Xiao said that, but it was just an excuse. What she was really worried about was that she didn't know how much longer she could live. She only had a few months left in her life, and even if she went to learn how to drive, she wouldn't be able to do much. She might as well use this time to do something else. But Lin Yi understood the meaning behind Xiao Xiao's excuse. Xiao Xiao said she didn't have that much patience, but she didn't have that much time left. Lin Yi sighed in his heart, but didn't show anything on his face. Songshan should have those underground racetracks too, right? Have you been there? Of course I have, of course I have. Xiao Xiao perked up at the mention of racing as if she'd forgotten her sadness. It's on Mount Belong's Coiling Mountain Road. It's an underground racetrack and there's a race every Friday night. People who love racing go there to practice too. Oh? Have you participated in a race before? Lin Yi asked with a smile. My skills aren't good, I can only practice. I won't be able to do it in a real race. Xiao Xiao shook her head. At most you'll lose, what else? Lin Yi found it strange. At least you'll be able to participate in a race, it's an experience. It's not that simple. The loser has to pay the price. Xiao Xiao shook her head. The loser has to give the winner 200,000. Where would I get that much money? I'd be better off selling myself. Lin Yi clicked his tongue inwardly. As expected, there was some profit involved in this. There wouldn't be a race for no reason. 200,000 wasn't much to Lin Yi, but it was a lot to Xiao Xiao. If she had the money, she wouldn't have just bought an Audi TT. She'd have bought an Audi R8 or something. Then does it mean I get 200,000 if I win? Lin Yi asked. No, the winner only gets 150,000, and the other 50,000 goes to the organizer. Xiao Xiao said. This organization is quite profitable. Lin Yi said faintly, but this didn't have much to do with Lin Yi, so Lin Yi couldn't be bothered. Lingshan didn't even care, so why would Lin Yi care about some underground racetrack organizer? Yeah, there's at least 10 races a week, that's 500,000. You can even buy a car. Xiao Xiao said enviously. But winning 150 isn't bad either. We'll go racing on Friday and get a phone. Lin Yi smiled. What do you think? You want to go racing with me? Xiao Xiao's eyes went wide. Yeah, you don't want to go? Lin Yi asked. Yes. Xiao Xiao nodded, afraid that Lin Yi would change his mind. Really? That's great. Haha, I can go racing too. You want to drive? Lin Yi was speechless at Xiao Xiao's happy face. Lin Yi was the one driving in the racetrack and Xiao Xiao would lose for sure. Yeah, I lose the moment I start. Xiao Xiao was a little depressed. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao's face and made a decision in his heart. It was a risky decision, but it wasn't much to Lin Yi. It was something he could control. Chapter 1033. Who was Air Gooden? Looking at her beloved sports car, Xiao Xiao felt the urge to smash it. Sports car, it's not that I don't like you. It's just that I seem to like Lin Yi more. Xiao Xiao grumbled as she got in the car and started the engine, but it wasn't easy to reverse the car. The area was filled with vendors selling snacks, and there were people coming and going after school. In the past, Xiao Xiao didn't even need to reverse her car, she could just turn around and leave, but today there was a Lamborghini next to her car, so she had no choice but to reverse. Lin Yi frowned when he saw this. This Xie Yufeng was going to the doctor, but he didn't drive the car away. In truth, it wasn't that Yufeng didn't want to drive it away, it was because he couldn't. His butt was cut and it would hurt even if he sat down, let alone drive. Yufeng, Songming and Penghu called an ambulance right away, not even thinking about driving. I can't get it out. Lin Yi, help me get the car out. Xiao Xiao wanted to say that she wouldn't drive home, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Whose car is this? Why isn't it driving away? Tang Yun looked at the Lamborghini curiously as well. She didn't know what kind of car it was, but it shouldn't be cheap. Who would park their car here for so long and not drive away? That's Xie Yufeng from yesterday, Lin Yi said. But the kid is unlucky today. Xiao Xiao and Shu messed with him. He probably can't drive anymore, he's in the hospital getting some medicine. What's going on? Tang Yun was curious and confused. Ah, Xiao Xiao, tell Yun Yun what happened, I'll help you get the car out. Lin Yi said. Alright. Xiao Xiao was more than happy to share this with Tang Yun too. She happily pulled Tang Yun's hand to talk. Compared to Yushu, Xiao Xiao's relationship with Tang Yun was a lot closer. The two had lunch together and they were even more in sync now. In fact, this was because Xiao Xiao was trying to get to know Tang Yun, and Tang Yun was doing it on purpose. That was why their relationship improved so much. Lin Yi walked over, but he didn't get in Xiao Xiao's car. Instead, he went to Yufeng's Lamborghini and raised his leg to kick it. Bang. A loud bang sounded and the Lamborghini was kicked sideways by Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't stop there. He kicked it again and the car moved sideways again. Lin Yi frowned and kept kicking, and soon the brand new Lamborghini was full of dents from Lin Yi's kicks, and the alarm went off. But the people on the food street all knew Lin Yi, and they knew how domineering Lin Yi was. No one tried to stop him, and some were even gloating. This stupid car owner was blocking Lin Yi's way. In the blink of an eye, the Lamborghini was kicked to the bottom of the wall by Lin Yi, and the driver's door was stuck to the wall as well. If he didn't climb over from the passenger seat, he wouldn't even be able to drive the car away. Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun were stunned as they looked at Lin Yi. But Lin Yi had done too many ruthless things. Lin Yi had torn down Zhao Qibing's skyscraper twice, let alone a car. Tang Yun was already used to it, but Xiao Xiao couldn't close her mouth. Damn. That's so cool. Xiao Xiao didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong, sending the Lamborghini to the wall with just a few kicks. Yufeng would probably be crying tomorrow morning when he saw his new car in the corner of the wall, riddled with scars, wouldn't he? It's done. Lin Yi walked back casually as if he wasn't the one who kicked the car. He walked to Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Let's go. Xiao Xiao told Tang Yun about Yufeng's tragic experience, and Tang Yun started to sympathize with the guy. He was beaten up by gangsters yesterday, and today he was sitting on a nail shoe. Not only that, but his new car was destroyed by Lin Yi. Why was this guy so unlucky? Did he have to go to the West to seek scriptures and come here to suffer? Xiao Xiao didn't want to leave, but she didn't want to make it too obvious. Since Lin Yi had cleared the obstacles around her car, she could drive it out smoothly. The Volkswagen Beetle and Audi TT left the food street behind the school. Lin Yi sent Tang Yun to the hospital and parted ways with Xiao Xiao at the intersection ahead. How's the renovations going? When can we move in? Lin Yi asked as he drove. Mom went to check yesterday and she said it's almost done. We're just missing the furniture and appliances. We'll be able to move in after a couple of days. Tang Yun said. The new house smells. Fatty Lai used environmentally friendly materials, but it's impossible for there to be no harmful gases. You should get Auntie to buy some charcoal and sprinkle it around. Don't worry about money. Lin Yi nodded. Yeah, I know. Tang Yun obviously knew what kind of person her mother was. She couldn't help but laugh at Lin Yi's words. I really need to talk to her about it. Tell her not to be greedy. Just say that the smell of the renovations affects fertility. If you can't have a baby after smelling it, I won't want you anymore. Lin Yi said to Tang Yun. Tang Yun blinked and blushed. What kind of lousy reason is that? Lousy reason, but it'll definitely work. Lin Yi smiled. Tang Yun nodded. She had to admit that Lin Yi's method was effective. This was related to her health and the future baby's health. No matter how stingy a mother was, she couldn't risk her own life. If I really can't have a baby, will you still want me? Tang Yun suddenly thought of something. What if there really was something wrong with her body? She had never had a baby before. Who knew if she could have a baby? I can cure it. Lin Yi smiled. Tang Yun was a little disappointed. She actually wanted to hear him say that he wanted it, not that he could cure it. The results were the same, but Tang Yun was a girl after all, and sometimes she liked to hear romantic words. Lin Yi drove Tang Yun back to the hospital and drove home. He called Widow Wang's grocery store in the village. However, the phone rang a few times and no one picked up. Just as Lin Yi was about to hang up, someone picked up. It wasn't Widow Wang's voice. It was a man's voice. Hello? West Star Mountain Village. Which one are you looking for? Hello, can you help me find Air Gooden? Lin Yi didn't know who this person was. He said politely. Air Gooden? Who is it? The person froze. Chapter 1034. Hercules Air Gooden Ugh. Lin Yi paused, but he remembered that Air Gooden was just a nickname. Air Gooden's real name wasn't Air Gooden, so people who weren't familiar with him wouldn't know. But everyone in Star West Village should know this name. But Lin Yi still said, it's Zhou Jiaming. Zhou Jiaming was Air Gooden's real name. Of course, in the village, people called people by their nicknames. Very few people called people by their real names. This was different from the city. Zhou Jiaming? The man on the other side of the line paused, but he still said, wait, I'll ask for you. Auntie, someone's looking for Zhou Jiaming. Do you know him? I know. Okay, go set up the goods, I'll take the call. Widow Wang's voice came from the other side of the phone. After a while, Widow Wang picked up the phone. You're looking for Air Gooden? Auntie Wang, it's me, Lily. Lin Yi smiled. Who was that? And it's my relative's child from another village. He came here to help me with the work. Isn't the spring plowing over? When the villagers are free, they often come here to drink. I can't do it alone. Widow Wang said. I see, no wonder he doesn't know Air Gooden. Lin Yi understood. In Star West Village there were a lot of people who didn't know Lin Yi, but there were very few who didn't know Air Gooden. Haha, wait here, I'll get Air Gooden to answer the phone for you. Widow Wang put the phone aside and went to the village's megaphone to shout. Air Gooden, Air Gooden, Air Gooden, I'm your Auntie Wang. There's a call for you. Widow Wang's voice came from the loudspeaker, shocking Lin Yi on the other side of the phone. Gooden was hunting in the mountains. He just finished dinner and went to the mountains to stretch his body. He didn't expect to hear the village's loudspeaker calling for him. Gooden guessed that the call was from his boss, Lin Yi. He didn't waste time picking up the dead boar and running down the mountain. This wild boar was at least 300 to 400 kilograms, but Gooden didn't seem to be using any strength at all. He was running like he was flying, as if he was carrying no weight at all. At the foot of the mountain was West Star Village. Almost all the villagers were outside playing cards and chess. They didn't seem surprised at all when they saw Gooden running down the mountain with the bear on his shoulder. Gooden, you went hunting again? This wild boar can be sold for a good price, right? An old man said enviously. Haha, it's all right, Gooden smiled honestly. Gooden, when are you going to get the robes you promised Master Wang? A village woman asked. Her husband sold wild animals, and he often caught wild chickens and robes to sell in the market. He used to catch them with traps, but Gooden patted his chest and bought them, saying that he'd help whenever he needed the robes. Auntie Chong, I'm in a hurry to answer the phone today. I'll get the robes for you tomorrow. Gooden nodded. This Gooden was a legend in the village. When he was 8, he went hunting alone in the mountains. The first day he came back, the villagers saw a black bear coming down the mountain and walking into the village, scaring them to death. They shouted, "The bear is in the village," and all went back to their homes. But when the black bear walked into the village, everyone realized that under the bear's huge body, there was a small, skinny figure. It was Gooden who came back from hunting. But compared to the black bear's body, Gooden's body was insignificant. They were far away and it was dark, so the villagers couldn't see Gooden clearly. It was only when they got closer that they realized that the black bear had been killed by Gooden. This shocked the villagers and they couldn't help but praise Gooden's godly strength. But everything had a freshness, and once the freshness wore off they wouldn't be surprised anymore. It was the same with Gooden. From then on he killed wild wolves, wild boars, vultures and other wild beasts. Everyone was used to it now. Gooden threw the wild boar on the ground. Everyone split it. If we can't finish it, we'll give the rest to my dad to sell. Gooden was a simple and honest man. He wouldn't keep things to himself. Every time he went hunting he would think of the villagers and give them something for free. So, everyone had a good impression of him. In fact, everyone was drooling over the wild boar meat. Normal people couldn't kill a wild boar. There was a saying, 1 boar, 2 bears, 3 tigers. It meant that the wild boar was stronger than a bear or a tiger. Only Gooden could kill a wild boar so easily. If it was someone else, they might have been killed by the boar. After saying that, he quickly ran to Widow Wang's house, and the rest of the villagers happily helped him clean up the wild boar. Of course, they weren't greedy people. They would get some of the meat, but it was the parts that weren't easy to sell. The parts that were easy to sell, like the pork knuckle, they would leave them for Gooden. Gooden excitedly ran into the shop and picked up the phone. "Hello? Gooden, it's me, Lin Yi." Lin Yi heard Gooden's voice and smiled. "Lin Yi bro, I knew it was you. Are you in a hurry? I'll leave in 2 days. Gooden said embarrassedly. "It's still far from the autumn harvest and the family doesn't have much income. I'm thinking of hunting some wild animals for my dad to sell before I leave, otherwise the family won't have any income. Didn't I tell you to get it from my old man?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You can pay for the road. I'm thinking I'll earn the money for the house. I have hands and feet, hunting isn't a problem," Gooden said with an honest smile. "All right, come back as soon as you're done. I really miss you." Lin Yi sighed. "I really want you to stay in Songshan forever. I want to follow you, boss, to explore the world. But I can't." Gooden frowned and said helplessly, "I can't leave home for too long." "That's right. Apart from that spiritual spring, there's really no other alternative solution." Lin Yi sighed. "But it's fine, you just have to come out once in a while." Chapter 1035. Chapter 1033, Being Xiao Xiao's Best Friend. "All right, write down my phone number and address. Contact me when you get to Songshan, I'll pick you up," Lin Yi said as he gave Gooden his phone number and address. Gooden found a piece of paper and wrote it down before putting it in his pocket. After the call with Gooden, Lin Yi got home. The Miss and Shu were still watching TV on the sofa. "Shu bro, I did well today, didn't I?" Yushu said excitedly when she saw Lin Yi. "Xiao Xiao and I became best friends." "Yeah. But we need to keep working hard and try to improve." Lin Yi nodded. "Improve?" Yushu asked. "Yeah, it'd be best if we could become best friends just like you and Yao Yao," Lin Yi said. "Best friend? That's not possible, right? She's my love rival." Yushu scratched her head, troubled. Lin Yi didn't say anything. He took out his phone and opened the photo album, showing Xiao Xiao's wishes to Yushu. "Xiao Xiao has a few wishes and she doesn't have much time left, so I want to help her fulfill them one by one." "Oh?" Yushu paused and took the phone. She read the words on the photo. "I really want to have a best friend. I can talk to her about the loneliness in my heart. I can share happiness and sadness with her on the same bed. But I'm destined to never have a true friend. I don't want my best friend to feel pain because of my death." Mengyao came over curiously as well, frowning as she looked at the photo on Lin Yi's phone. "Lin Yi, where did you see this?" "From Xiao Xiao's phone." Lin Yi didn't hide it. "There's a file called My Wish. I just opened it. I didn't think." "I see." Mengyao nodded. Xiao Xiao's wish moved Mengyao. Having a best friend was a normal thing, but in Xiao Xiao's eyes, it was an extravagant wish. Especially Xiao Xiao's reason, it made Mengyao feel even more bitter. What a great spirit it is to not let a good friend be sad. "Shu, we want to be Xiao Xiao's best friends." Mengyao raised her fist and said word by word. "Oh, okay." Yushu nodded after seeing that Mengyao had agreed. To tell the truth, most of what she did today was to coax Xiao Xiao, but being a BFF wasn't as simple as that. If she didn't open her heart to Xiao Xiao, then she wouldn't be a BFF at all. Xiao Xiao only wanted to be Lin Yi's small wife, and she wasn't a threat to her position at all. Plus, she was about to die, so Yushu didn't think much of it. The two came to an agreement and the matter was settled for now. But Yushu suddenly realized that the picture wasn't the last one, so she kept scrolling. Lin Yi wanted to stop her, but it was too late. Yushu's hands were faster and she was already scrolling. If Lin Yi were to take the phone back now, it would mean that something was wrong. Lin Yi couldn't help but regret taking a picture of that threesome wish. Yushu and Mengyao read Xiao Xiao's other wishes, but they weren't really interested in things like racing or watching the sunrise. It had nothing to do with them, but when they saw Xiao Xiao's threesome, their eyes went wide, their mouths wide open. "I've decided I'll give this difficult mission to my boyfriend, let him push her down and then we'll have threesome." "Ah, Xiao Xiao, you're a super genius. But it seems like a daydream?" Yushu and Mengyao couldn't help but look at each other after reading the content on the phone. After a long while, Yushu sighed. "Holy shit, this Xiao Xiao is even stronger than me? She wants to do threesome with a superstar? I just want to do it with Yao Yao." "Shu, what the hell are you talking about?" Mengyao glared at Yushu, suddenly feeling a sense of regret. One Shu was enough to give her a headache, and she actually agreed to be Xiao Xiao's best friend? Xiao Xiao was someone similar to Shu, and if she were to become her best friend, wouldn't she be breaking down all day long? After the two of them got together, wouldn't the already shocking idea become even more shocking? This Xiao Xiao wanted to do threesomes, and with just a discussion with Yushu, they'd be able to do 4 or 5. Hee, but that's a good wish. Su Shirhan is Yao Yao's and my idol too. She'll bro, you need to work hard. Yushu waved her phone at Lin Yi. I don't mind doing threesomes with a superstar. 4, 5 with Yao Yao. Lin Yi held his forehead, speechless. His heart was exploding. This sounded exciting, but Lin Yi just couldn't believe it. Meng Yao slapped her forehead as well, almost fainting from the shock. What was she supposed to do now that Yushu had said it out loud? What was she supposed to do? What was she supposed to do in the future? I'll go check on Faubert. Lin Yi took the phone back from Yushu and walked to Faubert's room. I'll go wash up and sleep. Meng Yao said, defeated. I'll go too. Yushu said happily, following Meng Yao like a shadow. Lin Yi walked to Faubert's room. The door wasn't locked, so he pushed it open and walked in. Faubert was practicing on his bed when he felt Lin Yi walk in. He opened his eyes slowly. You're back? Evidently, he didn't hear the conversation between Lin Yi and Meng Yao in the living room. He could only sense movements within a certain range. Yeah, how is it, Faubert? Lin Yi nodded. I've already started training my family's martial arts again. Golden class late phase peak, this is a good starting point. I'm already satisfied. Uncle Fu said this from the bottom of his heart. He didn't seem to be forcing it at all. Faubert, I want to try again. Lin Yi said, unwilling to give up. What he didn't understand was that since Uncle Fu could absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, why couldn't he absorb the universal energy in the space of the jade pendant? Chapter 1036. A strange case. Lin Yi didn't say much and walked in front of Faubert. He placed both of his hands on Faubert's meridians and activated the art of dragon mastery. Uncle Fu also cooperated and began to circulate his family's incantation. 10 minutes later, Lin Yi gave up decisively. There was no effect at all. The situation was the same as before. Lin Yi couldn't give his energy to Faubert, and Faubert wouldn't absorb the energy Lin Yi gave him. It seemed like it was like what Jiao Lao said. There was a limit to the level of this energy transfer. He could only transfer energy to practitioners who were of a lower level than him, and the peak of the lower level was the final bottleneck. In other words, as long as he didn't reach Earth class, he wouldn't be able to make Faubert and General Wei Wu into Mystic class. At first, Lin Yi thought that his ability to mass-produce masters was already very powerful, but now it seemed like it was useless. Although he could create golden class masters were still a rare existence in the secular world, and they were extremely rare. A golden class master was already very powerful, but the problem was that the enemies and pressure Lin Yi was facing now didn't come from the common world, but from the noble houses of a higher level. In these noble houses, golden class masters were very common. Most of them were mystic class masters, and there were even some earth class masters. In front of these people, the two golden class masters, Faubert and General Wei Wu, were useless. Lin Yi had to rely on his own strength to face them. Forget it, it was better than nothing. Lin Yi sighed. Some people wanted golden class masters but didn't have them. He could mass produce them now. With that thought, Lin Yi gave up on the idea of creating Faubert and returned to his room. On the surface, Songshan was quite safe these days. The thief organization was gone, and the kidney trafficking organization was destroyed. The evil forces led by Zihua had also laid low, and they didn't make any big moves. Logically speaking, Lingshan should be happy in this kind of peaceful atmosphere, and in fact the leader did praise Lingshan a few times. Ever since she became the captain, Songshan's security had improved a lot, and Lingshan had been solving big cases time and time again. She was the fastest person in Songshan's history to solve a case. Lingshan, on the other hand, was a little uneasy. In many cases, there was a bigger conspiracy behind the calm. After all, there had been a couple of missing persons cases in Songshan recently. They looked like normal cases, but Lingshan felt that things weren't that simple. Wang Lai used to be a migrant worker. 3 days ago he had a conflict with the labor contractor because of a wage issue. After beating up the labor contractor, he disappeared. According to the information, Wang Lai was a very strong migrant worker. He had a lot of strength, and it was easy for him to beat up the labor contractor and his bodyguards. The labor contractor didn't even report it to the police. It was a street vendor selling snacks near the construction site who saw the fight and called the police. Wang Lai's disappearance made everyone think that he ran away. The police who went to investigate the case, naturally wouldn't interfere. After all, the labor contractor said that it was fine, and he didn't want to pursue the matter. This could be seen as a normal civil dispute. If the victim's family didn't want to pursue the matter, why would they? Besides, the labor contractor wasn't hurt, not even a light injury. Therefore, the police simply recorded it down and left. If it weren't for the fact that something similar had happened recently, this seemingly random case wouldn't have caught Lingshan's attention. Now that the case was in front of Lingshan's desk once more, she frowned at the unusualness of it. Although Wang Lai injured the labor contractor before, the labor contractor did not suffer much damage. There were just some bruises on his body and some scratches on his face. The same was true for the bodyguards. They did not even have any broken bones. Under these circumstances, was there a need for Wang Lai to run away? Even the police didn't want to arrest him. Why would he run? From the labor contractor's words, it was obvious that he was unlucky. Wang Lai could have found out about these things by asking around, but Wang Lai disappeared. The second case was similar to this one. Sun Kaoli was a stevedore for a freight company. When he was working, he accidentally broke a piece of glassware. His boss didn't say anything. He didn't even mention deducting his salary. Yet Sun Kaoli disappeared. Why the hell was Sun Kaoli running? When Sun Kaoli disappeared, the boss felt that something was wrong and called the police. But after calling the police, they realized that nothing was missing from the company, and the reason for Sun Kaoli's escape was something they had to think about. Of course, this wasn't much. If these two missing cases were coincidental, then what about today's case? Yang Maolin was a small gangster bullying people around the market. Today, when he was collecting protection money, he bumped into someone who was serious, and so he used the scale plate on the side to smack the guy's face into a pulp. After washing away the blood, it was just a nose bleeding. It wasn't a big deal at all. Everyone thought that this was over, and the guy who got beaten up would obediently hand over protection money the next day. It wasn't like Yang Maolin hadn't beaten up merchants before. There were a lot more serious cases, but it wasn't a big deal. But the guy who got beaten up wasn't happy and called the police. The police came to mediate the situation. After all, Yang Maolin was the manager of this farmer's market, and he was collecting money for benefits. It could be seen as a commercial action of a mall collecting rent. It was a little more than usual, but the guy didn't have to come at all. Even if they were to argue about it, they wouldn't be able to come out with a good reason. The market was private, and it was normal for Yang Maolin to collect fees. You didn't pay up, so you got punched. It was a normal civil dispute, but the weird thing was that Yang Maolin disappeared after he beat up the guy. Never seen again. It looked like he was afraid that something would happen to the guy, and so he ran away, but in reality, the guy who got beaten up wasn't a problem at all. If these three incidents were to be singled out, they could all be regarded as coincidences. But when the three incidents were put together, it was somewhat unusual. Chapter 1037. Chapter 1035. Miss Yulingshan felt like there was a problem here, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Why did these people run away? Where did they go? What was their purpose? This series of questions gave Lingshan a headache. On the surface, nothing had happened yet, and Lingshan's actions made it seem like she was making a fuss over nothing, but Lingshan was a person who hated evil. Things that didn't make sense to her would always be suspicious of them. Pho. Lingshan put the file aside and rubbed her temples. It seemed like being a leader wasn't that easy after all. It was much easier being a soldier. She had to worry about all these things, and she didn't want anything to happen to the peaceful Songshan. She hoped that she was just being too sensitive, and that it was just a coincidence. Who knew what Lin Yi was doing? Lin Yi had lost contact with Lingshan recently, and Lingshan wanted to call him to ask about Lin Yi's whereabouts, but she didn't have a good reason to do so. She'd always asked Lin Yi to help her solve cases, but now that she didn't have an excuse, she didn't know what to say. Lingshan knew about the things that happened in Songshan a couple of days. With her position, it was only natural that she knew everything that happened in Songshan. House Yu, Xiao family, and the hidden house Zhao all went to Pingzhan's house to force him to abdicate. Lingshan knew about all of this, but she couldn't do anything about it. She came from a noble house, and she knew that when it came to noble houses, the rules and methods of the common world didn't have much of an effect on them. Lingshan really wanted to help, but thinking that she was a golden class late phase, she knew that she wouldn't be able to do anything. She'd just be a burden, and so she gave up on that idea. But hearing that Lin Yi had lost all his strength, and was forced into a corner, Lingshan was still a little worried. She didn't know why, but she had this inexplicable feeling towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi was the first man who dared to act arrogantly in front of her, and all the other noble house's disciples always praised her, but Lin Yi called her Miss Braindead. This made her angry, but at the same time she felt a strange feeling in her heart. She was angry but she couldn't fight back and she didn't dare to. She could only accept it, and slowly she started to like this feeling of being conquered. Sometimes she even thought that she was a bit of a masochist. But she shook her head. She did want to fight back, didn't she? However, there was no way to resist, so he could only compromise. It was just a habit that had become second nature. Lingshan couldn't stay calm at the thought of Lin Yi. She hurriedly tidied up the documents on her desk and glanced at the clock on the wall. It was already past 9. Lingshan was single, and because of her profession, she would sleep in the resting room when she worked late. She washed her face, brushed her teeth, and laid on the bed. She wanted to call Lin Yi, but she couldn't fall asleep. She washed her face and brushed her teeth before lying on the bed. She wanted to give Lin Yi a call, but couldn't fall asleep after tossing and turning. She looked at the time. It was already 10, and she was afraid that Lin Yi would fall asleep. But for some reason she still picked up her phone and called Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally wasn't sleeping. He had just returned from Faubert's place, and was taking a shower when Lingshan's call came in. "Hello." Lin Yi picked up. "It's me," Lingshan said carefully, a little hesitant. "Oh, what's up?" Lin Yi asked. Lingshan usually didn't call him for anything good. Either she couldn't catch the bad guys, or she had some trouble that she needed his help with. "Nothing." Lingshan was a little awkward. She didn't know what she was thinking, but she didn't know what to say when the call went through to Lin Yi. "Nothing? Why would you call me then?" Lin Yi was confused. As far as he was concerned, Lingshan would always call him for trouble, but Lin Yi had always helped as much as he could. Lingshan's hesitation made Lin Yi think that something big had happened. So he said, "Is there something troublesome that you need my help with?" "Nothing." Lingshan had been very bold these past few days, but it was only temporary. It had been a few days since she contacted Lin Yi, and she found it hard to talk about it. "Then I'll hang up?" Lin Yi didn't know what was going on. "If you have something to say, just say it. Why did you call me? Don't hang up." Lingshan hesitated, but seeing that Lin Yi was about to hang up, she got bolder. She was already prepared to give up, so she didn't care anymore. I miss you." "What?" Lin Yi paused. "What did you say?" "Miss Dumb misses you." Lingshan didn't hold back anymore and said it boldly. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't have much of a good impression of Lingshan. He admired her, but it was only because of her body. As for her personality, Lin Yi didn't really like it. Although Lingshan had changed a lot recently, Lin Yi didn't think of it as a relationship at all. As far as he was concerned, he and Lingshan weren't the same kind of people, and Lingshan would never understand his life. So Lin Yi purposely kept a certain distance from Lingshan. This was also the reason why Lin Yi didn't go any further when he saw Lingshan's naked body in the basement of Jianghu's kidney trafficking organization. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved. Lin Yi was a normal man, but Lin Yi had better self-control. If he only relied on impulse to do things, then Lin Yi wouldn't be able to live until now. Now Lingshan's hints were a little obvious, and it gave Lin Yi a headache. He decided to find a chance to have a good talk with Lingshan. Lin Yi didn't think that Lingshan really fell in love with him. With Lingshan's strong personality, Lin Yi could guess the reason why she would have feelings for him. Chen Yuqian and the other pursuers were all obedient to Lingshan, but Lin Yi was someone who did the opposite. This made Lingshan feel fresh. Chapter 1038. Help me level up. But none of this was the reason why Lingshan fell in love with Lin Yi. The time they spent together was limited, and Lin Yi hadn't even spent as much time with Lingshan as Xiao Xiao did. How could she have feelings for him? If she were to talk about feelings, it was all because of the chaotic scene in the basement. Maybe things wouldn't be like this anymore once she thought it through. And so Lin Yi said to Lingshan, "You miss me?" "Yeah." Lingshan nodded without hesitation. "What do you miss?" Lin Yi asked. I want you to help me level up." Lingshan blushed. If someone else said this, it would be a very normal thing to say. For example, when Faubert told Lin Yi to help him level up, it wouldn't be a big deal. He was just asking Lin Yi to use his energy to help him level up. In fact, Lin Yi had been helping Faubert level up for the past few days. But Lingshan asking Lin Yi to help her level up was a little ambiguous. How and under what circumstances did Lingshan break through last time? Both Lin Yi and Lingshan knew it very well. This kind of breakthrough method gave Lin Yi a headache. Lin Yi was Lingshan's fantasy partner, and he broke through just like that. It was a little unbelievable, but it really happened. Of course, Lin Yi didn't think that was the reason for the breakthrough. It was just a trigger. If that was the case, Lingshan would have reached Sky Class a long time ago. So this method wasn't going to work. Lingshan was already at the point of breakthrough, and that thing was just a trigger. Of course, Lin Yi didn't delve too deeply into it. This wasn't something he could understand. Every family's practice was different, and Lin Yi didn't have the time to study it. Alright, when can I help you level up? Lin Yi hesitated before agreeing. Ling Shan was taken aback by Lin Yi's straightforwardness. Lin Yi agreed just like that? No hesitation at all? What's wrong? Lin Yi asked when Ling Shan didn't say anything. No, but this weekend you'll come to my house? Ling Shan said excitedly. Sure, Lin Yi nodded. Then I'll be waiting? Ling Shan's heart was pounding furiously. She was really happy that Lin Yi had agreed. Ling Shan's breathing quickened as she held the phone in her hand. She suddenly felt hot all over, remembering the special feeling she had in the basement that day. Ling Shan couldn't help but reach her hand into the blanket. After hanging up, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it and went straight into practicing mode. The situation wasn't looking good right now. House Yu and House Xiao had temporarily quieted down, but who knew if there would be any bigger movements after that. So Lin Yi couldn't slack off for even a second. He had to train hard and break through as soon as possible. Only when he had enough strength would he be able to intimidate these noble houses. That night Lin Yi would spend his time training. That night Faubert would spend his time training as well. That night the Miss and Shu slowly fell asleep as they whispered to each other. They were talking about Xiao Xiao, their best friend life. There was something they needed to discuss about suddenly accepting a third person into their life. Tang Yun, on the other hand, had a good night's sleep. She was very happy. She was going to move into her new house in 2 days, and her mother was going to buy some charcoal buns. That night Xiao Xiao had another sleepless night. She was thinking about the future. This was the first time she was thinking about the future of her life, and Lin Yi's future. She was a little lost and she wanted to retreat a little. That night Ling Shan fell asleep in a daze of excitement. Outside the window it was raining, and in her dreams Ling Shan was listening to the wind and the rain, while Lin Yi was in his pajamas, dreaming. The rainy night in Songshan was very quiet. The homeless and beggars on the streets were all hiding, and most of the restaurants and shops had closed early. There weren't many customers in a rainy day. But there was one place that was packed with people. Even though it was raining outside, it was still very noisy. This was Jianghu's underground fighting arena. Maolin looked at the opponent who had won 2 matches in a row and frowned. Why was this guy so strong? Previously, when he was approached by someone, he only said that he would be able to get 100,000 yuan commission by participating in an underground boxing match. That was 100,000, no matter if he won or lost. Maolin's heart was moved. He was originally a small hooligan in the market. He relied on his ability to take bribes and bully the vendors to earn some money. At most he would earn 2,000 to 3,000 yuan a month. Now that he was offered 100,000 yuan, he couldn't help but gladly accept it. As for why he made it look like he was running away, it was Scorpion who told him to do that. The reason was simple. Scorpion told him that no matter if he won or lost, he would get 100,000, but if he won he would get another 300,000. If you kill the other party's 100,000 yuan will be given to you, and you will get 500,000 yuan. But if he killed someone he would have to run, right? If you disappeared inexplicably, others would definitely suspect you. However, if you absconded because of some small matters, others would naturally ignore you. Small issues wouldn't make him a wanted criminal, so Maolin thought about it and agreed. He was a big guy and he came from a gangster background. Getting into fights was a common occurrence. If he really killed the opponent accidentally, it wouldn't be too hard. Plus, he heard that he would get another 300,000 if he won, and Maolin knew that this match would be a life-and-death kind of fight. If he really didn't have the last bit of strength left, who would be willing to let the 300,000 slip away? So, in order to win he had to beat the opponent to death. That was the only way he could win for sure. He could also get his opponent's 100,000. Maolin was a gangster in the first place and he didn't really care about human lives, especially in an underground arena like this. If he really did kill someone, the boss wouldn't want things to get out of hand. He'd just walk away and after a few years he'd have nothing to do with it. But Maolin's idea was good, but the reality was cruel. Chapter 1039. The underground arena. Although he was a hooligan and fighting was a common occurrence, the short, brawny man on the stage was indeed very skilled. If Maolin's judgment was correct, this man was an underground fighter who made a living by fighting underground fighters. His attacks were sharp and ruthless, all of them killing moves. This was a world of difference from Maolin's usual fighting style. No matter how good Maolin was at fighting, that was just fighting, beating people up until they hurt them. This short man, on the other hand, was beating people to death. Every punch was aimed at the opponent's vitals, either the head or the chest, and every move was fatal. Malin's forehead was sweating profusely as he watched the short man's opponent get beaten senseless, getting dragged off the stage like a dead dog. He regretted it. He really regretted it. He shouldn't have believed Scorpion's words, he shouldn't have had this unrealistic dream of getting rich. Finally, the short brawny man made his move again. With a bang, he punched his opponent's temple. Suddenly, his opponent's temple caved in, and then suddenly swelled up, turning into a huge tumor-like bump. His opponent, who was as strong as a bear, twitched twice and fell to the ground with a loud bang, without the slightest bit of sloppiness. The short man won again. He raised his hands, accepting the cheers of victory from the audience. 2 fights and he'd earned $1 million. After the 3rd fight, he'd be able to earn $1,500,000 today. This was the highest amount he'd ever earned in his underground fighting career. Otherwise, the short man wouldn't have come all the way from Thailand to Songshan. He was a Muay Thai master and used to be a professional athlete, but he'd been focusing on underground fights ever since he retired. Many retired boxers became weaker and weaker, but the short man was different. His current strength was even greater than his peak strength as a regular athlete. Especially after learning some killer moves from a third-rate assassin, he became even more powerful. Of course, that wasn't all. The reason why he was so powerful was because he had embarked on the path of a cultivator. He was a physical cultivator and he was about to reach the golden rank. That was why his strength was so tyrannical. Scorpion bro. I don't want to compete anymore. Malin was sweating as he watched the stream. He loved money but he didn't want to die. The life and death agreement has been signed, you only have one choice and that is to fight. Scorpion said coldly. I just won't participate. What can you do to me? Life and death agreement? Don't think that I'm just a hooligan. This kind of thing is not valid in the law. If you want me to fight him, I'll die if I go up. In order to survive, Malin didn't care if he fell out with Scorpion, even though he knew that there had to be a huge power behind this arena. Scorpion smiled coldly as he pointed his gun at Malin. Then you can die now. Jie. Malin froze as a gun was pointed at his head. He started shaking. You guys, you can live if you participate in the competition and you can even get the prize money. Scorpion humphed. If you don't participate, you won't get a single cent. Die now. Malin was stunned. He was just a low-level hooligan, he'd never seen a gun before. Being pointed at with a gun made him shiver all over. He didn't doubt that Scorpion would kill him. After all, he'd seen the short man kill 2 people with his own eyes. This meant that they weren't afraid of dying here, and so he knelt down. And so Malin gave in, kneeling on the ground. Scorpion bro, I really don't want to die, please, I don't want to die, I haven't lived enough. Don't want to die? Scorpion sighed and put on an act. Then wait, I'll go ask the boss. Okay. Malin didn't dare hesitate. He nodded quickly. Scorpion actually just went to the entrance for a bit and then came back. There was no need to discuss this at all, it was all planned. The live broadcast was also for Malin to see, to scare him and make him take the bait. Otherwise, if Malin really wanted to get killed on stage, he wouldn't have needed to watch this at all, he could have just gotten him ready to go on stage. The boss said that he can guarantee your victory, but the 500,000 you deserve, he can only give you 300,000. Do you have any objections? Scorpion came back to the room and asked. Yes. Malin heard that, not only could he guarantee his victory, but he could also get 300,000. This was great news. His bottom line was to stay alive, and as far as he was concerned, he didn't need to pay anything. This 300,000 was an unexpected windfall. Before you go on stage, I will inject you with a drug. This drug is similar to the energy pill from before. It will allow you to have superhuman strength for 30 minutes. Scorpion said, but you must kill your opponent within 30 minutes. Otherwise, you'll have no choice but to resign yourself to fate. Is the strength pill really that useful? Malin didn't really believe it. He was afraid that Scorpion was lying to trick him into fighting. Why would I lie to you? This medicine is quite expensive. If the boss didn't think that the short brute won 2 rounds in a row and lost control of the bets for the 3rd round, the boss would lose a lot of money if he won again. Do you think he would give you such an expensive medicine? Little Scorpion snorted. After deducting your 200,000, it's not even enough to pay for this medicine. I see. I got it. Malin heard Scorpion's explanation and was instantly filled with confidence. Scorpion was right. Other than the matches, the boss would also bet on the fights, and now that the short man had won 2 matches in a row, the bets for the 3rd match would reach a new height. No one would bet on a dark horse like Malin, they'd all bet on the short man. In that case, if the short man won again, the owner of the underground boxing arena would suffer a huge loss. With that thought, Maolin became more alert. He'd decided that after this fight, he'd take the money and leave. He'd never participate in this kind of competition again, not even if he had the pill of vigor. Otherwise, the more he won, the more bets he had on him, the more the boss would find a way to kill him. The third match started, and Maolin, injected with the strength pill, was sent to the stage. His opponent was still the short man from before. Chapter 1040. The medicine works. The medicine worked, and Maolin felt like his body was filled with endless energy. Scorpion didn't lie to him, this vigor pill was really useful. At this moment, Maolin felt like he was a Superman. Looking at the short man's mocking smile, Maolin took the initiative to attack. He swung his fist at the short man. Bam! Maolin's fist landed on the short man's body, but at the same time the short man made his move as well, his fist landing on Maolin's chest. Maolin paused. The short man's fist looked really strong, but in reality, it didn't hurt at all. Yes, it didn't hurt at all. Maolin felt as if he had been pushed, not hit at all. Maolin couldn't help but be confused. What did this mean? Could it be that the short man was holding back, or was it a feint? But Maolin rejected the idea immediately. Holding back? How was that possible? The short man didn't look like someone who would hold back. He'd already killed 2 people, why would he need to kill Maolin? A feint? That was even more impossible. Who would do that in front of a crowd? This was a real battle of strength, not a martial arts TV series. Feints? Feints were the same as courting death. Maolin, on the other hand, was quite satisfied with the punch he'd just thrown out. He could clearly feel that the strength of this punch was much stronger than usual, and it felt much better. The short man, on the other hand, staggered from Maolin's attack. The short man didn't expect Maolin to be this strong, going head-to-head with him. Plus, Maolin's attacks were quite strong as well, and even though the short man was a pseudo-golden class master, he was still feeling some pain. Die. The short man's eyes flashed fiercely as he swung his fist at Maolin again. Bam. It was another head-on collision, and Maolin's fist hit the short man again, while the short man's fist hit Maolin as well. The two's brute force fighting style immediately drew a round of cheers from the audience. But most of the people here thought that the short man would win for sure. Even if Maolin fought him head-on, he wouldn't be a match for the short man. They cheered, "Go Red Dragon," because the short man's headgear was a red dragon. Maolin, on the other hand, wore a gray dog mask, but it didn't cover all of his hair. Some green fur could be seen. But no one was cheering him on. As far as they were concerned, Maolin was dead. Red Dragon had already won 2 rounds in a row, without any pressure at all. This Maolin, on the other hand, didn't have anything special about him. He dared to fight Red Dragon head-on, but he didn't seem to be that strong. Maolin was puzzled. The second punch from the short man didn't seem to hurt much, as if he was playing with someone. This wasn't normal. Previously, the short man had made a feint, but what about now? He couldn't keep making feints now, could he? Could it be that the energy pill not only increased his strength, but it could also be used as a defense? Otherwise, why didn't he feel anything when the short man hit him? At the thought, Maolin was overjoyed. This way, as long as he fought the short man with his impenetrable body, he'd have the upper hand. He wasn't good at fighting, but he wasn't afraid of being hit. He was like an invincible Superman. With that thought, Maolin roared and charged at the short man without a care in the world, starting to beat him up. No matter how the short man hit him, he didn't care at all, he just kept punching, punching and punching. The audience below the stage was dumbfounded. What was going on? Why wasn't Maolin afraid of death? This kind of desperate fighting style was simply terrifying. Maolin's chest was caved in from the short man's punches, but he didn't seem to feel it, he was still fighting the short man. Jianghu, on the other hand, frowned as he looked at Scorpion. Can this guy do it? Why does it feel like he can't? He's going to die, isn't he? Scorpion wasn't too sure. It's been fine the last few times, the people who used the medicine always beat their opponents at the last moment. But he's going to die before he can even beat his opponent. Jianghu felt that something wasn't right today. He turned to the professor. Professor Ian, what's going on? This opponent is too strong. Right now, the drug is only in the initial testing stage. After injecting it, dealing with ordinary people is naturally no problem. But the person we are dealing with now should be a practitioner. Professor Ian also frowned. Let's find Fighter Lee and ask him. Practitioner? No way. A practitioner fighting in an underground fight? Jianghu paused and turned to Scorpion. Go get Fighter Lee and see what's going on with this guy. Yes. Scorpion replied and went to look for Fighter Lee. Soon, Scorpion brought Fighter Lee into the room. Fighter Lee said, Master Wen, you were looking for me? Yes, look at this guy. How come he can't beat him even after the injection? Jianghu pointed at the screen. Fighter Lee looked at the screen. From what I can see, this guy looks like a physical practitioner, but he's not golden class yet. He's a pseudo-golden class and Professor Yin's medicine shouldn't be able to beat him. Unless the person injected with the medicine is abnormally strong. Oh? So you're saying that this young Maolin can't win? Jianghu frowned. It doesn't bode well for him. Fighter Lee said with certainty. Fuck. Jianghu couldn't help but curse. I bet more than 20 million on Red Dragon today. If Red Dragon wins, I'll lose everything even if the odds are 1-to-1. Don't worry, Master Wen. I'll fight the next round. Fighter Lee waved his hand casually. With my strength, killing this Red Dragon is a piece of cake. Alright. The Red Dragon won 3 rounds in a row, so the bet for the 4th round will be even bigger. I'll be able to earn it all back with interest this time. Jianghu nodded, feeling reassured. Chapter 1041. Fighter Lee wanted to steal his opponent until he fell down. The only thought in his mind was to attack and kill the short brute, and then he'd have 300,000. Maolin was stronger than the previous 2 opponents to the short brute, but to a quasi-golden class physical practitioner like him, it wasn't much. Professor Yin's medicine was strong, but it was still in the early stages of experimentation. It couldn't create death warriors that could fight practitioners yet. These people were more than enough to deal with normal people, but they had no advantage against practitioners. Red Dragon didn't have an easy time in this match and it was a bit hard. The punches he took were a few times more than the previous 2 matches, but he wasn't injured at all. He was a physical practitioner and his body was extremely strong. Maolin's strength wasn't bad, but he didn't hit Red Dragon's vitals at all, and so he raised his hands up like nothing had happened to him, welcoming the victory of 3 consecutive championships. The crowd cheered, and these were all people who had bet on Red Dragon's victory, and Red Dragon really did win again. Boss Lee, how much did you bet today? A fat white boss asked another boss beside him. I didn't bet much. I bet 5 million. Although the boss said that he didn't bet much, he still said it with some pride. Then you'll get 10 million back in one go. Congratulations. The fat boss said enviously, I only bet 300,000. If Red Dragon comes out tomorrow, I'll bet 5 million as well. No, 10 million. Oh? You're not afraid of losing all 10 million? The boss asked hesitantly. Lose? How is that possible? Red Dragon is so strong, I'll bet if he comes out. The fat boss gritted his teeth. Look at today? None of the Red Dragon's opponents are weak, but this Red Dragon is too strong. You're right, but I'm afraid that the arena will be rigged and Red Dragon will lose on purpose. The boss said worriedly. Lose on purpose? How is that possible? The fat boss said with disdain, you've seen quite a few matches and which one of them wasn't a fight to the death? Which one didn't have people dying? The final victor was always the one who killed the enemy. How could it be faked? Unless the Red Dragon is a fool, why would he collude with the boxing arena to fake it when he's so powerful? The key is that there's no benefit at all after the fake. He's already dead, so what's the use of any benefits? That's right. The boss who won the money also nodded. Then I will bet more tomorrow, but I have to see how many matches this Red Dragon will fight tomorrow. If it's going to fight 3 more matches, I will bet on the later ones. I will wait and see what happens first. You're really cunning. The fat boss said, I won't look at the situation. I'll bet directly. In this way, if they really fight all 3 rounds, I'll bet 10 million. With the compound interest, I'll earn 80 million in the last round. Wow, 80 million. I can buy a yacht and marry a few concubines. This is so cool. Although I won't bet on the first match, I'll bet on the later matches. I'm going to bet 100 million. The boss had also made up his mind. Sometimes it was like this. When you were hesitating, there was a like-minded person beside you who was encouraging you, so you could quickly make a bold decision. Then I'll bet 20 million. That's all I have. The fat boss didn't back down. In fact, there were many similar conversations going on in the spectator stands. They were all people who were excited about winning today, and they were all discussing what to bet on tomorrow. Of course, there were some of Jianghu's eyes and ears in the spectator stands as well. These people were there to create the wind and influence the people who placed their bets, guiding the public's opinion. But today's situation didn't need these eyes and ears. Everyone had decided to bet on the Red Dragon tomorrow. Jianghu was quite satisfied with the situation. He had lost quite a bit of money today, but he could earn it back 100 times over tomorrow. Fighter Lee, I'll leave it to you tomorrow. Jiang Wen said to Fighter Li. If we win tomorrow we'll get an astronomical amount of money. You're too courteous, Master Jiang Wen. We're all working for the Firewolves, what's there to ask? Fighter Li waved his hand and said carelessly. But I have a request. Can you ask Scorpion to help me with something, Master Jiang Wen? Oh? What request? Just tell me, Fighter Li. Jiang Wen said quickly. It's like this, I've taken a fancy to a girl. Fighter Li said with a laugh. Haha, appetite's no problem. Since Fighter Li has his eyes on her, I'll let Scorpion catch her for you. Jiang Wen waved his hand nonchalantly after hearing that it was just a small matter like this. Master Jiang Wen, this girl is from a good family. It'll be a problem if we take her by force. Fighter Li wasn't stupid, he would have done it himself if he could. Why would he need Scorpion? Oh. Jiang Wen paused. What's the problem? Does she have a background? She doesn't. Fighter Li shook his head. What's there to worry about if she doesn't have a background? Jiang Wen didn't understand. It's not the first time we've caught people. We've caught so many people already and nothing's happened, right? This is different. Fighter Li shook his head. Master Jiang Wen, this girl is for me to play with. I can't kill her before I'm done playing with her. Moreover, this little girl is very charming. I plan to let her follow me for a long time as a concubine. What I'm afraid of is that if she sneaks out and tells others about our underground boxing arena, then it will be troublesome. Oh, you're right. Jiang Wen nodded. Then we'll throw money at her. Master Jiang Wen, I'm thinking of letting Scorpion trick the girl's father into coming here to gamble. We'll make him owe a ton of money. He won't be able to pay it back and we'll force him to give his daughter to me. That way the girl would come willingly and naturally she wouldn't be able to run away. Fighter Li said. Chapter 1042. Chapter 1040 Wu Qintian's return? Alright, that's easy. Leave it to me, Scorpion. Scorpion patted his chest and promised. He walked the streets every day to trick people, so this was a good job for him. What's the girl's name? What's her father's name? This girl's name is Yu Yuan. She works at a burger shop near a primary school. Her father sells groceries at a nearby market. His name is Yu Ren. His family is poor and he hasn't seen much of the world. Just a few words and he'll be hooked. Fighter Li had done a thorough background check on Yu Yuan. Although Fighter Li frequented the brothels every day, the people he interacted with were mostly young ladies. He was more interested in pure girls. Yesterday he went to a burger shop to eat a burger and he was attracted to Yuan. He did a simple investigation of Yuan's background, and when he came back to the arena, he was thinking about how he could ask Jiang Wen to help him get Yuan. Jiang Wen invited him to fight tomorrow, and so he asked for it. As expected, Jiang Wen readily agreed. This wasn't a big deal to Jiang Wen at all. Wu Gongao, the old man of House Wu, was finally discharged from the hospital. But this hospitalization was a blessing in disguise. He broke through to Mystic Mid-Phase and this made him very happy. Could this be the legendary saying that there can be no construction without destruction? If that was the case, he might as well let Qintian piss him off a few more times and let him stay in the hospital a few more times. Wouldn't he be able to break through to Earth class then? Of course, Gongao was just thinking about it. Although this breakthrough had something to do with the hospitalization, the main reason was that he was really close to breaking through. He just hadn't reached the barrier of Mystic Mid-Phase yet. When he was at home, Gongao practiced every day without a day of rest. But after staying in the hospital, he couldn't practice anymore. He could only rest on the bed and rest for a while. When his body recovered, he broke through to Mystic Mid-Phase in one go. Wu Gongao had also thought about it carefully. The breakthrough this time might have been due to this period of quiet recuperation, allowing himself to adjust his state, and then cultivating again to break through in one fell swoop. But no matter what, Gongao had become a Mystic Mid-Phase, and House Wu's position was solidified. Qintian saw that his grandpa had recovered and broken through, so he didn't want to stay in House Wu anymore. He wanted to get to Songshan as soon as possible to find Sun Jingyi, wanting to expose her relationship with Lin Yi. In Yanjing he had a meal with Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. He knew that the two were a couple, so Lin Yi couldn't be Sun Jingyi's boyfriend. Unless Lin Yi had a foot in both boats. But it didn't matter. Qintian planned to invite Lin Yi, Xiao Xiao and Sun Jingyi out for a meal. If Lin Yi was too timing, it would let Sun Jingyi see the ugly side of Lin Yi. Of course, whether or not it would destroy the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao was none of Qintian's business. He didn't care at all. Qintian rushed back to Songshan in the middle of the night. He wasn't in a hurry to call Jingyi when he got there, but he called Wangba first. Why? Wangba, it's me, Wu Qintian. Qintian said. Bro Qintian, hello. Wangba was overjoyed when he received Qintian's call. The Xiao family's current situation wasn't ideal, and if House Wu could help them out, they wouldn't be removed from the list so quickly. Especially since Wu Gonggao, the old man of House Wu, had broken through to Mystic mid-phase. It was only a matter of time before he reached Earth class. At this time, House Wu's words were very firm. "Oh, how's the thing I asked you to do?" Chen Tian naturally didn't know about the changes in the Xiao family. In fact, House Wu had been busy with Gonggao's matters recently, and they didn't have the time to ask about other people's matters. Gonggao had just broken through, and House Wu was busy spreading the news. They didn't have the time to listen to other people's news. "It's done. The company has been registered and we've rented an office building. We've hired the employees as well, but we've just arrived in Songshan, and we don't have many customers. The company has been open for so many days, and no customers have come looking for us," Wang Ba said. There were countless trading companies in Songshan, and if they didn't go out to do business after opening, hoping that customers would come looking for them was just wishful thinking. But Chen Tian didn't care about that. It didn't matter if they didn't have customers, or if they didn't make money. Now that Gonggao had broken through, Chen Tian was able to apply for a large sum of money to hit on girls. Old Wu's only wish right now was for Chen Tian to marry Jingyi into House Wu's house. That way, House Wu's position would rise again. And so, Chen Tian opened this company to show off. He only wanted the position of the general manager. As for whether the company made money or not, he didn't care. He had been practicing how to show off recently, and he felt that he was doing very well already. After eating with Xiao Xiao, Chen Tian was enlightened. Girls nowadays all liked guys who knew how to show off. Only by showing off would people admire you. Chen Tian found what he was lacking, and so he took the chance to correct it. This company was the first step in his plan to show off. He wanted to be on the same level as Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi had a company and could be considered a CEO. If he wanted to pursue Sun Jingyi, he had to be a CEO as well. The second step was to invite Lin Yi, Xiao Xiao, and Sun Jingyi to have a meal together. Not only would it let Sun Jingyi see Lin Yi's face, but it would also allow him to show off his skill in showing off. That Xiao Xiao really knew how to cooperate with him, so it was killing two birds with one stone. It doesn't matter if the company makes money or not. I brought back 10 million to hit on girls this time, so let me know if it's not enough, Chen Tian said nonchalantly. Chapter 1043. Chapter 1041. The real side of Sun Jingyi. Did you print the name card I told you to? Chen Tian asked. Yes. I used the gold-plated name card that you told me to make. It looks very high-end. Wang Ba said quickly. What about the sports car? Did you buy it? Chen Tian asked. Yes, I bought it according to your instructions. It's an Audi TT. Wang Ba said, it's a new car and I don't have a license plate yet. Oh, there's no need for that yet. I'm giving it to someone as a gift. Chen Tian said, I'll go get it tomorrow morning. But in front of people, you have to say that this car was earned by the company, understand? Understood. Wang Ba said quickly. After calling Wang Ba, Chen Tian dialed Sun Jingyi's number. Sun Jingyi was soaking in the bathtub, quietly enjoying the warmth of the moment. It was too difficult for a girl to start a business in Songshan alone and support a company. She had to disguise herself every day pretending to be a mature and cold female CEO, but deep down she was still a weak girl. After removing the mature makeup, Sun Jingyi looked like a pure teenage girl. Her big eyes, long eyelashes, and hair casually falling down, combined with the bubbles in the bathtub, she looked like a little princess from a fairy tale. If Lin Yi was here, he would probably widen his eyes in shock. Was this really Sun Jingyi? Why did she look like the girl next door? In fact, Lin Yi had a good eye for people. Although he didn't know what Sun Jingyi looked like after removing her makeup, he could guess that Sun Jingyi was faking it. This surprised Sun Jingyi back then. Although Sun Jingyi's life was fake, she had no choice. She had to survive, she had to make a name for herself and show her family that she, Sun Jingyi, was a capable person without relying on her family. She wasn't a marriage tool for her family's benefit. However, without the support of House Sun, Sun Jingyi was like any other grassroots businesswoman, quietly running a small company, moving forward bit by bit in the fierce competition. Facing her family's forced marriage, or rather, the forced marriage of a few people in her family, Sun Jingyi chose this difficult path. She had to keep going and she had to make some achievements. Picking up her phone, Sun Jingyi casually flipped through the album and saw a few pictures of Lin Yi. Sun Jingyi couldn't help but frown. She hadn't contacted Lin Yi for a long time, but because Wu Qintian didn't bother her anymore, Sun Jingyi didn't have a reason to look for Lin Yi. As for Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi was full of curiosity. It couldn't be said that she liked him. Sun Jingyi knew that even if she didn't agree to the marriage with House Wu, she couldn't just randomly have a boyfriend. If she randomly had a boyfriend, it might make her grandpa angry. In this generation of the Sun family, there weren't many juniors. Those who successfully broke through the first level of the internal martial technique were also very few. If the Sun family didn't find a helper, they wouldn't be kicked out of the ranks of the aristocratic families, but they would gradually decline. So Sun Jingyi's criteria for choosing a partner was very clear. It had to be someone she liked and he had to be capable. Sun Jingyi wanted to show her uncle, second uncle, and aunt that she didn't need them to introduce her in a hurry. The boyfriend she found was also very outstanding. Currently, Sun Jingyi's feelings towards Lin Yi were only curiosity. Perhaps she had a good impression of him, but that was all. Sun Jingyi was a very rational person, and it could be seen from her daily disguise. Pho. Jingyi sighed inwardly. Lin Yi had entered her sights, but it seemed that he wasn't good enough yet. His punches and kicks were strong, but compared to a practitioner, there was still a world of difference between him and a practitioner. Sun Jingyi didn't have much information. She didn't have any contact with her family, and she didn't have any interactions with the police. So Sun Jingyi didn't hear about any of the big events that happened in Songshan, and she didn't know that Lin Yi almost went back to his hometown to seek refuge. Just when she was thinking about these messy things, an urgent ringtone sounded and it scared Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi looked at the caller ID and frowned. But after hesitating for a while, she still picked up the phone. "I'm Sun Jingyi said faintly as if she didn't see the caller ID. "Jingyi, I'm Wu Qintian." Qintian's voice came from the other side of the phone, and he sounded a little excited. "I'm back in Songshan." "Oh, you're back," Sun Jingyi said faintly. "Yeah, I've invested in a company here. Haha, looks like I'll be stationed in Songshan from now on, but we'll have more chances to meet each other," Qintian said pretentiously. "Oh." Sun Jingyi wasn't interested in whether Qintian invested in a company or not. He was a member of a noble house, and if he used his family's connections to do business, he would make money no matter what he did. So if Qintian wanted to make money, it was easy, but Sun Jingyi couldn't compare. From Sun Jingyi's point of view, if he couldn't make money with the connections of a noble house, wouldn't he be an idiot? "Ah, long time no see, let's go for breakfast tomorrow morning?" Qintian suggested impatiently. "Tomorrow morning? I need to go to the company, I don't have time." Sun Jingyi rejected Qintian's suggestion faintly. "Ah, let's go out for a chat, it's been a while. Let's invite Lin Yi too." Qintian purposely brought up Lin Yi. As far as he was concerned, as long as Lin Yi went, Sun Jingyi would definitely go as well, and Sun Jingyi would be able to see the ugly face of Lin Yi's two-timing. "Lin Yi?" Sun Jingyi paused and couldn't help but feel a ripple in her heart. Sun Jingyi didn't think that Lin Yi was a bad guy, but he was a thief. If she brought a thief back to House Sun, wouldn't her grandpa die from anger? "Yeah, I met Lin Yi in Yanjing and I even treated him and his friends to a meal, it was a great gathering," Qintian said. "So now that I'm back in Songshan, I'm going to have another meal with them. Let's go together tomorrow?" "All right." Hearing that Lin Yi was going, Sun Jingyi reluctantly agreed. Her impression of Qintian was getting worse and worse, and although her family told Sun Jingyi to interact with Qintian more often, Sun Jingyi just brushed it off. "All right, I'll pick you up at your company tomorrow morning." Qintian wasn't happy that Sun Jingyi agreed to have breakfast with him the moment she heard Lin Yi's name, but when he remembered that he would be able to expose Lin Yi tomorrow, he endured it. Chapter 1044. Chapter 1042. You're cute. Early in the morning, Lin Yi went to the hospital to pick up Tang Yun as usual, but Tang Yun said to Lin Yi after getting in the car, "Let's go to Time Street and pick up Xiao Xiao." "Oh." Lin Yi blinked. "She said that she woke up this morning and realized that her car was out of gas, so she wanted you to pick her up." Tang Yun waved her phone. "Xiao Xiao just called me." "Isn't there a gas station in front of her house?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this excuse. "Is that so?" Tang Yun blinked before bursting into laughter. "This Xiao Xiao, next time I'll get her to come up with a more reasonable excuse." "You knew she was lying?" Lin Yi smiled. "Yeah." She admitted it. Tang Yun smiled as well. "You won't blame me for not telling the truth, right?" "I won't." Lin Yi shook his head. With Tang Yun's personality, naturally she'd want Xiao Xiao to be happier when Xiao Xiao was in this state, so it was normal for her to work with Xiao Xiao to trick him. With that, Lin Yi drove the car to Xiao Xiao's neighborhood. At Xiao Xiao's neighborhood, Lin Yi saw Xiao Xiao, who was dressed up nicely, standing in front of her house with a smile on her face. Her petite figure was filled with an indescribable youthfulness. This was completely different from someone who was walking towards the end of their life. If Lin Yi didn't know what was going on with Xiao Xiao's body, he wouldn't believe that she was really going to die. Xiao Xiao had her usual smile on her face as she ran over excitedly when she saw Lin Yi's car. Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao sat in the back of the Beetle, leaving an empty seat in the front passenger seat. Haha, I'm sorry, the car ran out of gas, so I had to ask you to pick me up, Xiao Xiao said apologetically to Lin Yi after getting in. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Okay. Xiao Xiao didn't understand Lin Yi's response. What did he mean by okay? Tang Yun covered her mouth and giggled. Xiao Xiao still didn't understand. He drove the car to the entrance of Xiao Xiao's house and turned into a small street, stopping at a gas station after a few turns. My car's out of gas too, Lin Yi said faintly, not exposing Xiao Xiao's lie. But Xiao Xiao's face went red. She was a weird girl who lied without blinking, but that was only for other people. She was facing Lin Yi now and she couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Although Lin Yi didn't expose her directly, what was the difference between this situation and him exposing her? Xiao Xiao didn't think that Lin Yi would know that there was a gas station near her house. It was very secluded in a small street. If it wasn't someone who lived nearby or someone who was very familiar with the area, they wouldn't be able to find it. But Lin Yi found it and he wanted to refuel here. Lin Yi got out of the car and went to get the gas gun. Xiao Xiao, who was in the car, held her burning cheeks, fidgeting. What do I do, Yun sis? Does he know that I lied to him? Haha. Tang Yun looked at Xiao Xiao mischievously. So what if he knows? Then he won't believe me anymore, Xiao Xiao said worriedly. Haha, it's fine. You guessed it already? Tang Yun smiled. I guessed it already? Xiao Xiao was even more embarrassed. She didn't think that Lin Yi would know that she was lying. Lin Yi got in the car after refueling and didn't say anything else. He started the car and drove towards the school. But the more Lin Yi didn't say anything, the more Xiao Xiao felt uneasy. If Lin Yi said something to her, she'd feel more normal. So there's a gas station here I didn't know. I'll come here to refuel too. Xiao Xiao pretended like she just found out. Lin Yi, honey, you're amazing. You even found a gas station on a small street like this. Oh, it's not that amazing. I just need to keep an eye on it, Lin Yi said with a smile that wasn't a smile. Haha, I couldn't keep an eye on it? Xiao Xiao said with a laugh. Oh, I saw a receipt from the gas station in your car. There's this address on it, so I wrote it down. Lin Yi said. Huh. Xiao Xiao's eyes and mouth were wide open. She was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. Her body stiffened, and her forehead almost hit the roof of the car. She stared at Lin Yi blankly, her face burning up. She felt like she was going to explode. I don't want to live anymore. This is too embarrassing. Xiao Xiao was going crazy. Can't you just expose me? Can't you just let me have a little? I'm going to kill myself. You're pretty cute. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile at Xiao Xiao's reaction. Is that so? Xiao Xiao was overjoyed at Lin Yi's words. Her eyes turned into crescents. Really? Yun sis, he said I'm cute? Yeah. Tang Yin smiled as well. She finally understood why Mengyao agreed to let Yushu be a small wife. She wouldn't be lonely with a small wife like this by her side. She'd be really happy in the future. Unconsciously, Tang Yin realized that she'd accepted Xiao Xiao's existence in her heart. If she could be with her for the rest of her life, that would be a pretty good thing. But it was just a good thought. Xiao Xiao's ending was destined to be very sad. Tang Yin couldn't help but feel sad at the thought. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, didn't seem to know what it felt like to be sad at all. Her eyes and lips were all curved up, like an emoticon. She was so happy. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao and found it hard to connect her with the emotional Xiao Xiao who wrote her wishes on her phone. In front of people, she was a happy person, and it seemed like she'd be happy at any time. She made everyone around her happy with her, but behind the scenes she was still a pitiful girl on the brink of death. Lin Yi parked the car at the food street behind the school. When he got out, Xiao Xiao looked at the Lamborghini near the wall and couldn't help but start laughing.